not quite sure what he's speaking about either offhand. So I'm not quite sure how to answer this. I'll give you that.
Okay, let's move along then. Paul in Lucerne, California. Paul, you're on the air with Congressman Pocan.
Thank you, Congressman. I have a quick question. Say we have like 6 or 7 states that don't certify, but we do have 270 electoral college votes certified, and they vote for Joe Biden. According to my reading of the Constitution, that would make Joe Biden president. Would Pence certify that election? That's the question.
Yeah, I think if you have a win on the Electoral College votes outright like that, that is the election. You know, the fact that when Donald Trump talked about moving the election date from November 3rd and you saw the pushback from Republicans, I mean, Donald Trump, the best he would have is 4 more years. And a lot of these folks plan on being wheeled out before they die out of Congress, right? Because unfortunately, that's how a lot of people see their career paths. They're not going to jeopardize everything for this guy if they see that there's a clear mandate on the Electoral College votes. I truly believe that. So, I think if we have that big win, everyone I talk to, that's our single strongest and first point we say. This is with all the groups that are watching this. Literally everyone I've been dealing with. If we just have a big win, that's the way we solve all of these problems. So I think the focus should be every day for the next 40 days or give or take a day. It depends how people count election day or not, that we work on getting people out to vote.
Congressman Mark Pocan, the co-chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, taking your calls for the hour here at on the Thom Hartmann Program. It's Middays with Mark. Congressman Pocan answering your questions. His website is Pocan, POCAN.house.gov. You can tweet him at Rep. Mark Pocan. We'll be back with more of your calls for Congressman Pocan in just a moment.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
It's Middays with Mark on the Thom Hartmann Program. Stick around. We'll be right back. Hi, Thom Hartmann here. In my new book, The Hidden History of Monopolies, how big... And welcome back. Dan in Los Angeles, you're on the air with Congressman Pocan.
Wow, Thom Hartmann, listening to you for many years. First time I've ever talked on your show. Morning, Congressman. Look, just really quick.
Thank you for the call.
Yeah, the issue is the coronavirus still, obviously. It shut down our lives. It shut down the economy. The poverty is going to kill us before the virus does even. And, we can't talk. We can't do anything. And everybody's rushing to develop something to cure it. Obviously, the vaccine is the most popular thing. I'm sure you're familiar with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I don't know your opinions on him. Don't want to get into the debate about Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I obviously think he's interesting. He's not a Republican. Either is Alec
Dan,
Baldwin,
what's your question?
On the show. The point is, we need to look at these alternative medicines, like the turkey tail mushrooms and the cannabis oil that Tommy Chong is pushing. If we don't, and we're forced to take these vaccines that might kill us.
Okay, Dan, I'm ending that right there.
Yeah.
Congressman, do you want to respond to that? Or
Yeah, if I can share an observation, I'm a huge fan of Dr. Fauci. He's appeared many times before my subcommittee on appropriations. I have a great respect for him. Last week, he spent an hour with the Progressive Caucus on a call, and I got to ask him a lot of questions. One of the more promising things that he offered was around vaccines and not about this Donald Trump trying to force a vaccine. What he did is he gave us lots of background around there are several independent panels that have to approve any vaccine before we go to market. And one of those independent panels includes people like him and the head of the NIH who are, above reproach on this sort of stuff. He was very optimistic that there's 6 different ones right now in phase 3. That means 30 to 60,000 people are in double-blind placebo tests. He's very optimistic on the progress from everything he's seen on early results. So there are plenty of levers to make sure that anything introduced will be safe. Now, will it be at 50% rate of protecting people, 70%? We don't know. Measles, for example, I think is like 97 to 98%. It's a very high rate, but we just don't know where these will be until this third phase gets done. But he was very confident that good things are happening. And by the first quarter, he was actually projecting we'll have tens of millions of doses, and by the second, hundreds of millions of doses. So I'm not too concerned that there is a chance for Donald Trump to screw this up because of the way this is structured. There's plenty of places that Donald Trump can't have any influence on what's going to happen. It's not like it's up to the FDA, who's appointed by Trump. So I just want to give that as confidence to people that we're all going to obviously watch this very closely. But I trust Dr. Fauci, and he's giving us a lot of good reports right now on this front.
Okay. Gregory in Ventura, California. You're on the air with Congressman Pocan.
Hi, thank you, guys. Congressman, last week you mentioned about, forming the state banks through the United States Post Office. And my question is, why would a national institution be the best route to go to set up a state bank as opposed to something within inside the state, like the state treasury or maybe the legislature?
Some states, I think, do have this, right? Yeah, I mean, so you can do that. We're just saying the Postal Service, if you get rid of this unusual requirement that they have to pre-fund employee benefits 75 years into the future, which I don't think any other business and certainly no government agency has to do. That's the biggest issue, but they do need some additional revenues, and that's, I think, something that would work for a lot of people. A lot of people go to the Postal Service, and it might be something we want to consider.
Yeah, and other countries have done this, and in fact, we did this once. So, I mean, this is... Okay, 20 minutes past the hour. We'll be back with more of your calls for Congressman Pocan in just a moment. Stick around. The Hartmann Report is a free daily podcast 7 days a week, and you can find our entire 3-hour podcast over at thomhartmann.com. Hi, Thom Hartmann here. In my new book, The Hidden History of Monopolies, How Big Business Destroyed the American Dream, I'll be taking you from the birth of America as a revolt against monopoly, remember the Boston Tea Party, to the largely successful efforts of both Presidents Theodore and Franklin Roosevelt and other like-minded leaders to constrain corporations' monopolistic urges, to the massive changes in the rules of business starting during the Reagan Revolution that have brought us into the cancer stage of capitalism. In the foreword by Ralph Nader, he says, "This is the most important dynamic book on the cancers of monopoly by giant corporations written in our generation." End quote. It's the fourth in my Hidden History series, available where all fine books are sold. And don't forget, democracy is not a spectator sport. Democracy starts with you. Tag, you're it. It's over at thomhartmann.com. Welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you. Congressman Mark Pocan taking your calls for the hour. Jessica in Chicago, you're on the air with Congressman Pocan.
Good morning, gentlemen. I was just watching on CNN how Rand Paul treated Dr. Fauci so disrespectfully, saying that New York had the biggest, most terrible job on coronavirus. My question is, why is nobody saying how Jared Kushner spent $53 billion on test kits that were from Saudi Arabia that did absolutely nothing? So when New York was testing people, those kits were unreliable. That is the cause. They're trying to blame the governor and the mayor of New York. I think that needs to get out there more.
Thank you, Jessica.
Yeah, Jessica, I mean, good point. And I think there's a lot of points just like that you can show the craziness of what the Trump administration did and didn't do correctly. But actually, New York, I think in many ways is showing the path forward. Right now in New York City, the positivity rate for COVID is about 1%. California just got down to under 3%. Wisconsin right now, because of some increases we've had because of opening up college campuses and dorms, 16%. And we're not the worst around the country. There's other states that have a high rate. So, when I look at New York, they, because of the compactness of the population, certainly were going to be a place that it was going to go a lot faster and spread like it did and like we saw. But they certainly have got things under control in a way that when you've got a 1% positivity rate, we should maybe be looking at some of the things they're doing in some of these other southern states, especially in some of the western states that were having some huge outbreaks. So, but your point is well taken, Jessica. There's so many things that history will look at and show I wish it was just incompetence, but I think it was malicious neglect by this administration when it comes to COVID.
Bruce in Elmira, New Jersey. You're on the air with Congressman Pocan.
Yeah, a lot of us out here are looking at the Congress, and they're the only ones that don't have any kind of limitations on how long they can stay in office. And
actually, they do, Bruce. Every 2 years, Congress is subject to an election.
I know, but that's not working, because what I see and a lot of other people seeing are Congress people that are more interested in keeping power or keeping their job than upholding the Constitution of the United States. And we've got to take...
So, Bruce, what's the question for Congressman Pocan?
Well, I want to know if he would... I know he supports elections, but I would like to know why they're the only government group that doesn't have term limits, and if he thinks they should have term limits to stop the corruption.
Okay.
Yeah, Bruce, first of all, we're not the only government unit. So like most elected officials across the country, local, state, and federal, don't have term limits. However, I understand the concern that incumbents, when it comes to fundraising, certainly can raise more money. And when you talk about campaign finance reform, I think we need significant reform, because it is a system that largely works on behalf of incumbents, and that doesn't help the turnover perhaps that you're looking for. Where I disagree is on term limits, because what I've seen in some states that have them, like Michigan, for example, you get elected one term, you're first learning the job in the state legislature. By the second term, you're supposed to be heavy doing action. And by the third term, people are often looking for what they're going to do next, because they can no longer be a legislator. What that does is empowers staff and bureaucrats and, quite honestly, lobbyists more, because there's no term limit on being a lobbyist. So I don't know if it's the magical solution. I think that's where elections often are the solution. But I do think elections could be more fair and address your concern by addressing campaign finance laws. I think that is integral to getting done what you're trying to talk about.
Steve in Harlingen, Texas. You're on the air with Congressman Pocan.
Yes, Congressman, I just kind of want to know what you people in your Progressive caucus is trying to push Nancy Pelosi to do, concerning trying to delay any premature vote on the Supreme Court justices.
Yeah, so first of all, that will go through the Senate. However, that doesn't mean there's not, as Nancy said, arrows in her quiver. And we certainly are looking at all options. I mean, our focus is on the election and trying to convince people that it is not a good idea to have Donald Trump appoint a Supreme Court justice right now that will be the deciding vote on the Affordable Care Act. In other words, the deciding vote on whether or not pre-existing conditions you'll still be covered for health insurance. And I think that's what people need to know. Don't forget, marriage equality was decided by a single vote. Whether or not abortion clinics could remain open was decided by a single vote. And the fate of the Affordable Care Act is decided by a single vote. And if you lose those cases, that would have horrendous results. That's the focus we're having right now publicly, but certainly behind the scenes, we are looking at every possibility. Should the Republicans decide to go back on their word of 4 years ago and try to force a decision, we will do everything possible to make sure that doesn't proceed, whether it be the House or specifically where the activity is in the Senate.
Congressman, we just have about 30 seconds to the break at the bottom of the hour. How do you see this playing out?
I think they've lost 2 votes already. They can only lose 2 more on the Senate side, on the Republican side. So I think that's a big part of the campaign right now.
So reach out to Republican senators.
Absolutely, and let them know you don't want to lose your pre-existing conditions. You don't want them to force a decision. Live to their word from 4 years ago.
There you go. Congressman Mark Pocan, co-chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, taking your calls for the hour. We'll be back in just a moment.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 202-808-9925.
It's Middays with Mark on the Thom Hartmann Program. Pocan.house.gov. You can tweet him at Rep Mark Pocan. We'll be right back. So here we are in the last week of the Free Speech TV fund drive, and we are behind. We're behind by a few tens of thousands of dollars right now from where we should be in this fundraising program at this point. And we only have, today, Thursday, and Friday to go. And to hit that goal, our fundraising goal for this quarter, and to unlock that $10,000 challenge from Andrew in San Diego. We're a ways away from that. So it's really important that you call now. 877-378-8669. Free Speech TV needs your help. This program needs your help. It's just progressive television. A progressive message in America needs your help. And by the way, by helping Free Speech TV, you're not just helping Free Speech TV. You're helping all the progressive candidates who are out there. You're helping just the whole broad spectrum. Frankly, given this time, given the fact that right now we are literally battling a rise of neo-Nazi fascism in the United States within the Republican Party, explicit neo-Nazi fascism. I mean, they literally show up with swastikas. The fact that we are battling that, this is insanely urgent. I mean, we don't get more urgent times than this. And progressive media is absolutely part of the solution. I was on yesterday afternoon after I got off the air. I was on with a $240 gift. There's this virtual meet and greet, and we had our September one yesterday afternoon, right after I got off the air. Met with some just great people, a lot of really good questions and very personal conversations that we had that I thought was just wonderful. And one of the people in the call has been doing phone banking for years. I mean, I was so impressed. And people who are really care and really concerned about what's going on. And a lot of the concern is around, how this all plays out. And none of us have a crystal ball. We know that the Republicans, if they want to steal an election, if they want to just play pure power politics, they actually have a couple of tools that they can wield. But the most important thing that we can do is share information, is wake people up. And that's what we're doing right here on Free Speech TV. That's what I'm trying to do with this program. And I know all of my colleagues on Free Speech TV, those that I regularly talk with and those that I just occasionally or slightly know, we all share a commitment to a pluralistic, egalitarian society, an America where everybody has an equal shot, an America where nobody falls so low that they can't be retrieved or they can't be helped, an America where essentially hate is rejected and love is embraced. And I realize, that sounds so airy-fairy, but really that's the foundation of the whole thing. And you find it right here on Free Speech TV. So please call now and help support this television network and keep this message going. 877-378-8669 is the telephone number. We need your help right now. We really need to make this and Thursday and Friday, we need to make them big days so that not just that we can unlock Andrew's $10,000 match, but also, which will double your donation, but also to keep this network on the air, right? This is what needs to be done. This is how we have to raise the money to keep this network on the air. So there's some premiums with a $20 gift. You have your choice of the Thom Hartmann University bumper sticker, the sticker that says "Fight for Democracy," or a set of 3 stainless steel straws. Never again poison the ocean when you drink a beverage. If you go out to drink a beverage, or if you're doing it at home, with a $50 gift, you got the Free Speech TV webcam cover, the postcard pack, Fight for Democracy, and your choice of 2 tote bags. One says "Change never happens from the top down," paraphrasing Margaret Mead, and the other really cool one says "Be Notorious," an homage to Ruth Bader Ginsburg. With the $75 gift, you've got the Thom Hartmann Program mug, the official mug for our show, or the Free Speech TV black hat. With a $100 gift, a couple of face masks, 2 face masks that say "What we can grow from crisis." With a $120 gift, your choice of either an Ask Me About Free Speech TV t-shirt, which is great for evangelizing the network, which we need you to be doing, or your choice of one of the 4 following books: Ruth Bader Ginsburg's book, My Own Words; The Hidden History of the War on Voting by me; How Trump Stole 2020 by Greg Palast; or my newest book, The Hidden History of Monopoly, How Big Business Destroyed the American Dream by me. With a $240 gift, drop in on our virtual meet and greet. The next one is October 14th. There'll be another one on November 18th. Be great to see you there. With a $360 gift, the Thom Hartmann University Fall Box, the bumper sticker, the student bumper sticker, the democracy sticker, the Free Speech TV tote bag, the democracy postcards, and my book on monopolies. And with a $1,000 gift, come to Portland once all this craziness is over and we'll hang out together. So those are the premiums. But the bottom line is we need you to call now, 877-378-8669, and make your contribution to Free Speech TV. Please call now. Time is of the essence. This is vital. Please call now. Thank you. On this week's Science Revolution, how Trump's new herd mentality strategy could kill 6 million Americans and destroy our economy. Trump doesn't know how to run a business, so we shouldn't be surprised that he doesn't know how to run a country. His latest failure, tragically, is the United States of America. Economist Richard Wolff and Dr. Justin Frank drop by on all this. Plus, Dr. Gary Yo is here on the apocalyptic wildfires and climate warming. Tune into the Science Revolution wherever fine podcasts are available. Welcome back. 34 minutes past the hour. And Virginia in Bassett, Virginia. You are on the air with Congressman Pocan.
Hi, Tom and Mark. My question is, if the court gets rid of all the legislation that they're going to get rid of, if all the branches win, can we repass all that legislation and any future legislation and have that addendum where the Supreme Court cannot rule on any of that legislation and therefore bypassing the courts?
You're asking a lot in the question. If the Supreme Court turns down the Affordable Care Act because of a certain provision, we can certainly pass a provision to fix that and try to put it back into place if we have Democrats in the House, Senate, and White House. However, don't forget, the lobbyists who didn't want the Affordable Care Act in the first place will be just as active, if not more, in causing problems and trying to slow us down from doing that. So that would be difficult. It's very hard to say you're going to do something that Supreme Court can't ever change or look at. They have to follow the law. So if the law is written properly, they shouldn't be able to. But if you stack a court with people with a certain worldview, you can't guarantee that. So it's not as easy as giving you a yes or no answer, but certainly some things like the Affordable Care Act, you could try to fix whatever provision they said made it not legal. But in other cases, you may not be able to, and that's going to be very difficult, especially when, there are so many high, moneyed special interests fighting against things. They can make it very difficult, especially what if you have the Senate by one vote? Think about that. Any one senator can stop policy. I can tell you K Street will be swimming in $100 bills.
Nick in Chicago, you're on the air with Congressman Pocan.
Hey, gentlemen. Thanks for taking my call. Since Senator Johnson passed the quote-unquote report on Hunter Biden, if he tries to pull it again, would House Democrats have an appetite to counter with investigating Trump's children?
In the time that's left, what Ron Johnson's doing today is just showing the rest of the country what we already know in Wisconsin, that he's a bit of a buffoon. Because even already some of the things he's put in there, some of the witnesses have came to the impeachment testimony and said, no, Biden did nothing wrong, and he's trying to imply it. Instead of dealing with the abuses at ICE, which would be under his jurisdiction of his committee, instead of dealing with COVID, instead of trying to make our elections work better, Ron Johnson is showing people that, unfortunately, some elected officials from Wisconsin don't have the capacity to do their jobs well, and instead are trying to, see how close their lips can get to Donald Trump's rear end. And I think this week, Ron Johnson wins that award with some beautiful brown lipstick.
Paul in Woodinville, Washington, you're on the air with Congressman Pocan.
Yes, Congressman Pocan. I would like to ask you this question. Given Mitch McConnell's behavior in the Senate, Number one, getting rid of the filibuster for Supreme Court justices. Number two, stonewalling the nomination by Barack Obama of Merrick Garland. And now ramrodding through a justice literally days before an election, when that was something he could not do in 2016. Is it not justifiably time for Democrats, when we get a majority, to expand the court to 15 members? And I don't mean pack the court. I've told Tom this before. I mean expanded court that would still have 9 justices per case. We only heard 130 cases this year. That's down from 150 back in the 80s. And with 6 justices on the conservative side, they can literally shut out progressives that come to the Supreme Court who would like to go to the Supreme Court, because it takes 4 justices to want to hear a case. They can shut out progressive causes by just saying we don't want to hear the case. It's time to expand the court, and it's justifiable. And I am on this, and I'm not going to let it go, Tom. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Paul, I think you bring up a very interesting point that's worthy of debate, and from the level slightly different than maybe how you're presenting it, Paul. But I just think, in general, you do this throughout history. You'll make some assessments about the size of various bodies and what makes sense in processes like the Electoral College. I mean, in many ways, the Electoral College was never intended to work in the way it does with our population centers the way they are. And maybe it's a time we have a national debate about that. I think the Supreme Court is another one. Can 7, bodies essentially make a decision like this? I just think that, maybe it is time to look at a bigger court so you can get more done as the country is the size that it's at. So I think, everything should be open to debate in this country, because we can make those decisions, and I think it's important to do that. I'm sorry, 9 justices. I did not mean 7. And we need to have that debate about whether a bigger Supreme Court would allow us to have more coverage of cases in general, not necessarily from one slant or another, but does it help us to hit where we need to be in a modern society? And again, I would also say that's true of the Electoral College right now. That should be up to debate too.
I think Paul's main point was that it takes 4 justices to do what's called granting cert. In other words, to allow a case to be heard before the court. There was like 10,000 cases referred to the Supreme Court last year. And if there's only 3 justices on the court who are willing to hear cases that, that involve our issues, as it were, we're screwed. We're locked out, until another person gets put on the court. This would be one way to solve that problem, would be to expand the court. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm just addressing it more even broader. I mean, I think there's a lot of different reasons that you could discuss why we should expand the court. I don't think it should necessarily be from a political perspective is the reason, but I think there's a lot of other really strong, valid reasons that would be far more substantial so that the public would support expanding the court as well. But, I think there's a number of things. You just every now and then do have to look at where we are as a country and what we need to maybe continue to improve. That's why we have amendments to the Constitution as an example. And, clearly those amendments have made this country a much stronger, better place.
Yeah. Charles in Jacksonville, Florida. You're on the air with Congressman Pocan.
Yes, good afternoon, gentlemen. Congressman, I have a question. Excuse me. Who in the government has the ability to declare the president a domestic enemy to the Constitution? And once he's declared, why would not the government remove him by any means necessary?
Yeah, Charles, I don't have the answer to that. I think, we impeached the president in the House, and the Senate clearly had a zero interest in doing that, and we saw the very quick process that they had. I think it's time to focus on what's in front of us, which is the election, which is why we shouldn't be nominating a Supreme Court in a rushed end of presidential term way. I think we need to focus on the real priorities that are in front of us that most people that we need to be persuading right now are talking about at their kitchen tables. And I just really encourage people. Everything we should be putting our energy and efforts and angst and worries into is getting people out to vote. If more voters turn out, there is no question Joe Biden is the next president. And I think, that's the best thing to put our energies into.
Jim in Salisbury, North Carolina. You're on the air with Congressman Pocan.
Wonderful. Thank you for taking my call. Congressman, I wanted to get a clarification that the Supreme Court justices are federal judges like all of the others. Is there anything says they have to be Supreme Court justices, or can they be rotated out as long as they keep a federal judge position?
I'm not sure if I'm totally getting your question, Jim. I apologize, and I may not have the answer.
I have the question and the answer. There has Elizabeth Warren's proposal to term limit justices. The Constitution says that once you're a federal judge, you're a federal judge for life. So people have been saying you can't term limit the Supreme Court, but in fact you can because they're federal judges. So you simply move them off the Supreme Court and back down to or back over to a circuit court. Go ahead.
Gotcha. And I guess that could be a possibility. Again, with the current makeup, that's not going to happen, but that's certainly, again, one of those discussions. I think, there's nothing wrong with having a robust discussion about our democracy and what makes a democracy work and what doesn't. We just saw a president break so many rules and I think laws as president that now we have to respond because no Democrat or Republican did what he did at the level that this president has acted. And that's when we have to make those tweaks so that we have the country remain the vibrant democracy that it is. So I'm open to any discussion, even if I don't agree with the idea. I'm good to hear about the idea because maybe I'll be persuaded and maybe others will be persuaded.
Yeah, you mentioned, we have 30 seconds here. You mentioned all the laws that he's broken. The Hatch Act is probably the most visible of those. Do you see Congress doing anything about that?
I know this morning, and I have not seen it, but I think they put in today. Nancy Pelosi introduced some efforts to try to regain control of the executive branch, so that they are independent branch of government and not superseding their role. So I have not seen exactly what was all put in there, but I know that it is part of the discussions we're having right now in general to make sure that the laws function as they were intended.
Great. Congressman Mark Pocan, the co-chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, taking your calls for the hour. It's Middays with Mark on the Thom Hartmann Program. Pocan, POCAN.house.gov is his website. You can tweet him at @RepMarkPocan, and we will be back with more of your calls for Congressman Pocan in just a moment.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann. Visit ThomHartmann.com for audio and video archives.
45 minutes past the hour. We'll be right back. And welcome back. Dave in New London, New Hampshire. You're on the air with Congressman Pocan.
How is it that the president can seemingly call the election at any point? And I'll take my answer off the air. Thanks.
Don't go away yet, Dave. I'm not sure what you're asking.
I just dropped him. I think what he's talking about is that Trump has said that if the election is not resolved by the end of the day on November 3rd, he and the Republicans are going to launch a court challenge to say that no more mail-in votes should be counted.
Yeah, again, Donald Trump says lots of things. Don't, hold your breath waiting for many of them to come true. Seriously, you'd absolutely suffocate. We have plenty of folks who are the best at knowing the law around alternative scenarios, looking at that. So we'll be fine, but he can't just single-handedly do this. He can single-handedly file a court case, but doesn't mean it's going to be so.
Yeah. Edward in Orlando, Florida. You're on the air with Congressman Pocan.
Okay. Basically, everyone is concerned about getting rid of the Electoral College and doing this by the popular vote, but an easy fix to this, which would empower individual voters, but also third parties as well as being part of the process, is for Congress to pass a law stating that they will reject electors from any state that doesn't apportion the electors according to the popular vote. What do you think about doing that as a way of empowering voters and dealing with the Electoral College problem all at one time.
And wouldn't that be instantly declared in violation of the Fourth Amendment or the Article 4 of the Constitution?
Yeah, and in addition, the states that don't automatically allocate, like they currently do, you've got Nebraska, I think, splits out, Maine splits out some of their votes. I'm not sure if there are other areas. It just wouldn't be enough to impact things. Just those two? Okay. So it wouldn't be maybe enough to actually have an impact. I think, we can look at, one, getting rid of Electoral College, because I do think there are some antiquated ideas behind it of where our population currently lives and exists. But two, the popular vote should make that decision. And, we've seen that twice in recent history. The person who won the popular vote didn't win. So I do think it's a real issue that we have to have a debate on. And, I think it's worthy of hearing all sides to whether or not that makes sense. But I'm not sure if your answer, Edward, would actually work to resolve what I think we're trying to resolve.
Right. And plus, the Constitution says that the states get to decide how to apportion their electors, which is the thing that keeps me up at night.
I guess you could try to change the Constitution, but then when he said the word easy, that usually doesn't come to mind when it's changing the U.S. Constitution.
Yeah, but proportional representation, it's a great idea. Maine is apparently doing that with this election, ranked choice voting.
Ranked
we'll be right back.
Voting might be another thing to look at.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be right back with more of your calls for Congressman Mark Pocan in just a moment. It is coming up on 10 minutes before the hour here on the Thom Hartmann Program. Stick around. We'll be right back. Got to read a commercial on the other side of this, and then we'll be right back to Congressman Pocan. Share the Thom Hartmann Program with your friends. We're available on SiriusXM, Free Speech TV, Pacifica, commercial stations nationwide, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, on the Thom Hartmann app, and you can even tell your smart speaker to listen to the Thom Hartmann Program.
Before this decade is out, of landing a man on the moon.
And welcome back. Congressman Mark Pocan taking your calls for the hour. And Ellen in Cortland Manor, New York. You are on the air with Congressman Pocan.
Hi, good morning, Congressman. Thank you for being here. I wanted to ask you, millions of people are dealing with the COVID, ACA, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, that they will have to deal with, that will be impacting us because of the Supreme Court nomination. What about the Democrats controlling the news cycle and letting millions and millions of people know that this is all, and the census, and why can't people know that from Democrats? Forget about the Republicans, because that's what they want to avoid. They don't want people to know that.
Ellen, I think the focus that we're trying to do is just that, is explain what a one vote means on the Supreme Court. I think the biggest issue, without question, is the Affordable Care Act. If that would get thrown out, so would the protections for pre-existing conditions, which I always thought wasn't health insurance before. It used to be profit insurance, because people who actually needed it couldn't get it, and that didn't make any sense. But don't forget marriage equality, whether or not abortion clinics could be allowed to be open across states. All of those are one-vote decisions on the Supreme Court, and I do think we should be talking about that and explaining why it's so important, and why this amount of hypocrisy that, they wouldn't even do it for an entire year under Barack Obama, but now in days remaining in a president's term, they're going to try to rush something through. I think, people really need to know what the consequences are. And at the end of the day, while I think this increases interest in both parties to get out the vote, I think it has a much bigger ramification. I think I heard 25% of Republicans are pro-choice. Do they really want to throw out a law that might, decide whether or not a woman has a choice over the medical conditions for her body? Maybe not. And that's why I think, you're right. We need to make those cases explain the real-life impact of the Supreme Court, which is something that people don't normally talk about at their kitchen tables.
Mary in Las Vegas, you're on the air with Congressman Pocan.
Yes, good morning. Is there a way the Democrats can talk more about, maybe not the specific dollars, but how much more money everything Trump has done is going to cost the taxpayer more money, such as pre-existing? I mean, yeah, if you get it, you're going to have to pay for it. I mean, I used to process claims back in the day when they would put, this is like early in the infancy of AIDS, and they'd put waivers on these people and deny them coverage for that or hypertension. And also there's the cap. If you get something like leukemia, you better get ready to sell your house because you'll reach that $1 million real quick. Not to mention the way he misappropriates money. There's so many things that he does. His trade deals have he wants another fourth bailout for farmers. Let's call that what it is: democratic socialism.
Yeah, or the couple $1 trillion in the tax break for the wealthiest, where 86% of that money is going to go to the top 1% or 83% of the money. Almost everything is not going to the average person. You're right; there are plenty of things. But I think what you started with the call, I still think is the most impactful, is what it means if you have the Affordable Care Act overturned. Roughly 20 million people immediately will lose health insurance, but many others will be impacted because of things like the protections on pre-existing conditions. So if we want to go back to the days when you could go bankrupt simply because you didn't win the gene lottery, that will happen under Donald Trump if he gets a chance to push through a Supreme Court justice. So we just need to keep having those conversations with people.
Great. Hang on just a second here. Okay, Jesse in Denver, you are on the air with Congressman Pocan.
I got a question. If we take over the Senate and the White House, can we pass an amendment or a bill that would impeach the Senate?
Jesse, your phone is breaking up.
I'm sorry.
Real quickly, say it again. If we take over the House and Senate, can we pass a bill that will what?
Allow us to do a recall vote if the president is impeached and the Senate fails to remove him, especially since this clown lost.
Throw it to the people. Got it, Congressman.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't have a definitive answer, but I don't think you get the chance to do the do-over in that way. We have to focus on the next 40 days. And if people are concerned, which I know they are, we've got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, that would require a constitutional amendment. Kim in Novato, California. We have 90 seconds to the end of the hour. Kim, quick one for Congressman Pocan,
90 seconds. Please. My 90 seconds. Lifetime appointments. Should we go for the 18-year appointments instead of trying to pack the court? And Tom, I want to tell you, I lost my husband Saturday morning to cancer, and he was a huge fan of yours. Thank you.
I'm so sorry, Kim.
Kim,
thank you for
same here. I'm so sorry for you. I think, again, everything, let's look at everything, like anything that impacts our democracy. If we think it makes sense to have that conversation, that is a conversation that we should have. I don't know if a term limit is better than an expanded court versus just doing the process right to begin with. But I think we have to, as Nancy said, use every arrow in our quiver, and let's make sure we get this right because so much is riding on it.
Congressman, I want to thank you for continuously refocusing me and all the rest of us on how important it is that we massively show up and win this damn election. You got 20 seconds.
Tell you, I got to admit, sometimes I get to be like a chihuahua on an ankle on certain issues, and I've been like that on COVID because I'm very concerned where we need to do so much more on COVID, and it's been unbelievable what this president has not done. But also, the thing that most of us can do is work on getting people out to vote. More people vote, we win elections, period. So I think, if we make that's where our energies are going into, while we're still looking at these problems, we're going to have the result we want.
There you go. So go to iwillvote.com. It's run by the DNC, and
Thank you.
It's a portal into every single Secretary of State's office. You can check your voter registration and everything. Congressman Pocan, thank you so much.
Of course, Tom, as always, thank you.
We'll talk to you next week. It is, we're hitting the top of the hour. We'll be right back. Stick around.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann.
Hi, Thom Hartmann here. In my new book, The Hidden History of Monopolies, How Big Business Destroyed the American Dream, I'll be taking you from the birth of America as a revolt against monopoly, remember the Boston Tea Party, to the largely successful efforts of both Presidents Theodore and Franklin Roosevelt and other like-minded leaders to constrain corporations' monopolistic urges, to the massive changes in the rules of business starting during the Reagan Revolution that have brought us into the cancer stage of capitalism. In the foreword by Ralph Nader, he says, "This is the most important dynamic book on the cancers of monopoly by giant corporations written in our generation." End quote. It's the fourth in my Hidden History series, available where all fine books are sold. And don't forget, democracy is not a spectator sport. Democracy starts with you. Tag, you're it.
We say fight back!
So here we are in the last week of the Free Speech TV fund drive, and we are behind. We're behind by a few tens of thousands of dollars right now from where we should be in this fundraising program at this point. And we only have, today, Thursday, and Friday to go. And to hit that goal, our fundraising goal for this quarter, and to unlock that $10,000 challenge from Andrew in San Diego. We're a ways away from that. So it's really important that you call now, 877-378-8669. Free Speech TV needs your help. This program needs your help. It's just progressive television, a progressive message in America needs your help. And by the way, by helping Free Speech TV, you're not just helping Free Speech TV. You're helping all the progressive candidates who are out there. You're helping just the whole broad spectrum. Frankly, given this time, given the fact that right now we are literally battling a rise of neo-Nazi fascism in the United States within the Republican Party, explicit neo-Nazi fascism. I mean, they literally show up with swastikas. The fact that we are battling that, this is insanely urgent. I mean, we don't get more urgent times than this. And progressive media is absolutely part of the solution. I was on yesterday afternoon after I got off the air. I was on with a $240 gift. There's this virtual meet and greet, and we had our September one yesterday afternoon, right after I got off the air. Met with some just great people, a lot of really good questions and very personal conversations that we had that I thought was just wonderful. And one of the people in the call has been doing phone banking for years. I mean, I was so impressed. And people who are really care and really concerned about what's going on. And a lot of the concern is around, how this all plays out. And none of us have a crystal ball. We know that the Republicans, if they want to steal an election, if they want to just play pure power politics, they actually have a couple of tools that they can wield. But the most important thing that we can do is share information, is wake people up. And that's what we're doing right here on Free Speech TV. That's what I'm trying to do with this program. And I know all of my colleagues on Free Speech TV, those that I regularly talk with and those that I just occasionally or slightly know, we all share a commitment to a pluralistic, egalitarian society in America where everybody has an equal shot an America where nobody falls so low that they can't be retrieved or they can't be helped, an America where essentially hate is rejected and love is embraced. And I realize, that sounds so airy-fairy, but really that's the foundation of the whole thing. And you find it right here on Free Speech TV. So please call now and help support this television network and keep this message going. 877-378-8669 is the telephone number. We need your help right now. We really need to make this and Thursday and Friday, we need to make them big days so that not just that we can unlock Andrew's $10,000 match, but also, which will double your donation, but also to keep this network on the air. Right? This is what needs to be done. This is how we have to raise the money to keep this network on the air. So there's some premiums with a $20 gift. You have your choice of the Thom Hartmann University bumper sticker, the sticker that says "Fight for Democracy," or a set of 3 stainless steel straws. Never again poison the ocean when you drink a beverage. If you go out to drink a beverage, or if you're doing it at home, with a $50 gift, you got the Free Speech TV webcam cover, the postcard pack, Fight for Democracy, and your choice of 2 tote bags. One says, "Change never happens from the top down," paraphrasing Margaret Mead. And the other really cool one says, "Be Notorious," an homage to Ruth Bader Ginsburg. With the $75 gift, you've got the Thom Hartmann Program mug, the official mug for our show, or the Free Speech TV black hat. With a $100 gift, a couple of face masks, 2 face masks that say, "What we can grow from crisis." With a $120 gift, your choice of either an Ask Me About Free Speech TV t-shirt, which is great for evangelizing the network, which we need you to be doing, or your choice of one of the 4 following books: Ruth Bader Ginsburg's book, My Own Words, The Hidden History of the War on Voting by me, How Trump Stole 2020 by Greg Palast, or my newest book, The Hidden History of Monopoly, How Big Business Destroyed the American Dream by me. With a $240 gift, drop in on our virtual meet and greet. The next one is October 14th. There'll be another one on November 18th. Be great to see you there. With a $360 gift, the Thom Hartmann University Fall Box, the bumper sticker, the student bumper sticker, the Democracy sticker, the Free Speech TV tote bag, the Democracy postcards, and my book on monopolies. And with a $1,000 gift, come to Portland once all this craziness is over and we'll hang out together. So those are the premiums. But the bottom line is we need you to call now, 877-378-8669, and make your contribution to Free Speech TV. Please call now. Time is of the essence. This is vital. Please call now. Thank you. Was concluded in 1952 that public invocations of faith were ironclad proof that Americans were a religious people whose institutions presuppose a supreme being.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
And welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you. And it's fascinating news out of Florida. Ron DeSantis wants to make it legal for right-wing people to kill or hit left-wing or Black Lives Matter protesters with cars during do I have this right? This is amazing. On the line with us is the Florida Commissioner of Agriculture and Consumer Services, Nikki Fried. Nikki is an attorney and activist and the highest-ranking Democrat in Florida. Was a keynote speaker at the Democratic National Convention. Nikki oversees the state's $137 billion agriculture industry and the food supply chain. Agriculture, the #1 industry now in the state of Florida. She also oversees the state's school lunch program that feeds 1.2 million Florida kids. Launched the Be Smart campaign in Florida last month to encourage mask wearing in the lack of, in the absence of leadership from DeSantis. Commissioner Fried, welcome to the program. Tell us about this new law that apparently the Republicans are all excited about in Florida.
Yeah, this was a surprise, certainly, when the governor, along with our potential incoming Speaker of the House and potential Senate President, made this announcement that they are going to be pushing stricter laws or creation of laws. The reality is that this is just a political a ploy right out of Trump's playbook. Trump has been going around talking about law and order and trying to be fear-mongering to people in our communities. And the reality is that people here in the state of Florida are still dealing with COVID. We have over 1 million people in Florida that are unemployed. Our economy is facing years of recovery ahead of us. We just got hit by a hurricane in the Panhandle. We've got some serious issues, but this is a priority of our governor on the Republican Party of the state of Florida. My guess is that, the governor read a very long hit piece on him from our Politico that made reference to the fact that the White House is tired of him and they want his head on spikes. And I believe this is probably his way to try to get back into the good graces of the White House.
Oh, that's interesting. So the way, correct me if I'm wrong, or if I'm misunderstanding this, Trump has been souring on DeSantis because Florida has not only a really high COVID infection rate, but a really high death rate. And it's hurting Trump politically. It's hurting Republicans politically in Florida, particularly among people over 50 who are, at the greatest risk of dying if they get this disease or having permanent disability. And so DeSantis, in order to get back into Trump's good graces, is saying, well, let's back a bill that says that you can kill Black Lives Matter protesters. Is it that crass, really?
The way I read it, I'm an attorney. I was a past public defender. And of course, I'm a firm believer in the due process and the rule of law and condemn violence. That's why we already have laws on the books. When the governor was explaining some of these changes, said, why should somebody be able to throw a brick at a police officer and get away with it? Well, I'm sorry, the last time that I read the laws and was, aced my crim law in law school, is that is already a felony, especially going after law enforcement. Right. So this is just fear-mongering and political tactics, and really is just a way to, fear-monger. And unfortunately, it's, right before elections. There are no protests that I'm aware of in the state of Florida right now. So this isn't even something that is plaguing our state. And we certainly have other priorities. This is this is just a political tactics and politics at its absolute worst.
We're talking with the highest-ranking elected Democrat in the state of Florida, Nikki Fried, the Agriculture Commissioner and Consumer Services Commissioner. Commissioner Fried, back in 2000, your legislature, led by, I had their name here, John McKay, he was the Senate president in 2000, told reporters that, this is from a New York Times piece from November 28th, 2000 by David Barstow, that he and the Republicans in both the House and Senate in Florida were actually had legislation prepared. They were going to pass it that said that it would direct the state of Florida to cast their electoral votes for George W. Bush, even if the recount that your state Supreme Court had ordered showed that Al Gore actually won the election. There are now multiple reports out of the White House and the Trump campaign that one of the things that is seriously being discussed among Republicans is that in the 9 swing states, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Ohio, Arizona, New Hampshire, the Constitution says that the state legislatures get to decide how those electoral votes are apportioned. And the argument of doing this that was put forward by your state Senate leader back in 2000 was never tested before the Supreme Court because the Supreme Court short-circuited the whole process. But are you hearing anything out of Florida that Republicans are planning something like this? Let's jam through a piece of legislation through the Florida legislature that would direct the state, the electoral college members to cast their votes for Donald Trump.
I haven't heard that in particular. It wouldn't surprise me, seeing the games that the Republican Party continue to do time and time again. I mean, we are seeing it every day here in the state of Florida with voter suppression, kicking people off of voter rolls. We had to pass our what's called Amendment 4 here in the state, which dealt with the restoration of civil rights. The fact is that we've got 1.4 million of our Floridians who have paid their debt to society that are waiting for their opportunities to vote here in the state. And the Republican Party passed legislation that was more restrictive than what was in the Constitution. It has been going up through the courts, both in the state side as well as now the federal side. So every step along the way, they tried to do voter suppression. So they probably believe that they're going to find a way to win it at the ballot box. because of the confusion, trying to, really make people fear that they can't go and vote in person, but yet don't rely on the mail system. And so it's creating such a frenzy with the voters and especially keeping people off the ability to vote. So I think that they're really more focused on voter suppression and voter intimidation than really, going after, something so unconstitutional and so, outside of everything that as somebody who has studied politics since I was able to walk, and respecting of the law and our Constitution and believing in democracy and the passage of power is one of the most sacred parts of our democracy, is a peaceful, transfer of power. And the fact that the Republicans are even contemplating doing anything to bridge that, it puts our democracy in line, and why this election is so important to the future of our country and, quite honestly, the stability of the world.
Yeah, I'm absolutely with you. We have a minute 20 seconds, so we're going to hit a hard break here. We're talking with Florida Commissioner of Agriculture Nikki Fried, the highest-ranking Democrat elected in Florida. Commissioner Fried, if Democrats ran the state of Florida, what would they be doing differently from what Ron DeSantis is doing? What should be done in Florida? In regards to COVID? And any other issue you want to throw in there. We have a minute.
Oh, wait, we only have a minute? I was like, where do I start? First and foremost, it is, dealing with the restoration of civil rights, individuals, the ability to vote. It is the most sacred part of our Constitution is somebody's ability to cast their ballot for, their elected officials in a democracy. So that's one, is making sure that pathway to voting is cleared. But even when it deals with, what we've been doing with COVID, our governor, I just left 2 back-to-back meetings with our Florida cabinet. He never wore a mask inside of the room. Sitting right next to our chief financial officer, has downplayed the COVID from day one, has really never, showed leadership on this. He's put his head in the sand right with his boss, the president. And we have lost over 13,000, almost 14,000 Floridians because of this failed leadership.
Yeah, that's mind-boggling. It's truly mind-boggling. Commissioner Fried, thank you so much for dropping by today. It's been great talking with you, and very much appreciate the great work you're doing down there in Florida.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time today.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for dropping by. It's 15 minutes past the hour. It's the Thom Hartmann Program. We'll be back with more of the news of the day and your calls right after this.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Back with more of the news of the day and your calls in just a moment. It's the Thom Hartmann Program, talk media for the sane among us. And welcome back. Winston in Salem, Virginia. Hey, Winston, what's on your mind today?
Hey, thank you for your service, Tom. I'm not sure if you mentioned this earlier, but does the Democratic Party have a plan B in case the election is close?
I don't know. I'm being reassured by Congressman Pocan and by Tom Perez a few days ago that they've got the best lawyers in the world working on this. But I think that as long as the Republican Party is willing to go by the letter of the law rather than the spirit of the law, which, they can easily rationalize, I think we've got a big problem. You've got 9 states right now that are the swing states. As I mentioned a minute ago, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Ohio, Arizona, and New Hampshire. Every single one of those 9 states has a legislature that is dominated and controlled by Republicans. And the Constitution says that the legislature of the states determines how the electoral votes are cast. Now, all of those states, all of the states in the Union except Maine and Nebraska have a rule that whichever presidential candidate wins the majority of the vote in that state wins the entire electoral college in that state. In Maine and Nebraska, they split it between between two physical districts in the state. But any state can simply pass a law through their legislature very quickly, and if they have a large enough majority, they can even get it past a gubernatorial veto, which they would certainly face in Michigan and Wisconsin. Any legislature can simply pass a law saying you electors must vote for Donald Trump in this election. They absolutely have
wow.
that right. And it's right there in the Constitution in Article 4. And so, and increasingly we're hearing, Joe Scarborough on his program this morning, focused on this, or actually I think it was Mika Brzezinski, focused on this with some intensity. And I think all the rest of us need to be focused on this, but that's, so the only way that we can defeat that, as Congressman Pocan pointed out, is to turn up in massive and overwhelming numbers at the polls. Even in the, if they've thrown you off the ballot, get back on the ballot. If they're saying it's too late, fight it. Go to iwillvote.com and participate in this stuff. Winston, I got to move along, but thank you for the call. Richard in Phoenix. Hey, Richard, what's up?
Hi, Tom. Something I'm not hearing anybody talking about or in any of the mainstream media. How are these people going to vote that are being displaced by all these fires?
In California, you don't have to have a physical address to vote, but it does help to get a ballot. So I know that California is working on that. Here in Oregon, Governor Kate Brown has put together an outreach program to make ballots available to those people who have lost their homes. We had two towns, Talent and I'm forgetting the name of the other town. But in any case, we had two towns here that literally burned to the ground. What was that, Sean? Phoenix?
Richard in Phoenix, yes. Yeah, I just wish I was saying more about it in the media because I know people are wondering about it.
I think it's more kind of a local story, and it is showing up in the local media here in Oregon, and I'm sure it is in California as well. In Arizona, you're not getting the wildfires, and so that's probably why it's not making it into the national news or the Arizona news. Richard, thank you for the call. We'll be right back. It's coming up on 20 minutes past the hour. Share the Thom Hartmann Program with your friends. We're available on SiriusXM, Free Speech TV, Pacifica, commercial stations nationwide, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, on the Thom Hartmann app, and you can even tell your smart speaker to listen to the Thom Hartmann Program. Hi, Thom Hartmann here. In my new book, The Hidden History of Monopolies, How Big Business Destroyed the American Dream, I'll be taking you from the birth of America as a revolt against monopoly, remember the Boston Tea Party, to the largely successful efforts of both Presidents Theodore and Franklin Roosevelt and other like-minded leaders to constrain corporations' monopolistic urges, to the massive changes in the rules of business starting during the Reagan Revolution that have brought us into the cancer stage of capitalism. In the foreword by Ralph Nader, he says, "This is the most important dynamic book on the cancers of monopoly by giant corporations written in our generation." End quote. It's the fourth in my Hidden History series, available where all fine books are sold. And don't forget, democracy is not a spectator sport. Democracy starts with you. Tag, you're it. Welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you. So, Donald Trump became president by exploiting a loophole in our Constitution called the Electoral College. The majority of Americans did not want Donald Trump for president. The majority of Americans did not vote for Donald Trump for president, but he's there anyway. And now he's planning on using a different loophole, the 12th Amendment, to hang on to power. Back in the election of 1876, the Democrat Sam Tilden won both the Electoral College and the national popular vote, but 4 states claimed that occupying Union troops were engaging in voter fraud, so they submitted Electoral College slates for both candidates. With these competing Electoral College slates, neither candidate won the majority needed to take the Electoral College and become president, and as a result, the election got thrown to the state legislatures via the House of Representatives, and they chose the Republican who had lost the election, Rutherford B. Hayes, as president. Donald Trump proclaimed during a rally a few days ago that he and the Republican Party are planning a very similar strategy. I wrote about this back in March. I have been ranting about this now for a half a year. You've got 9 swing states with Republican-controlled state legislatures, 9 of them. And the Constitution says that the state legislatures have the final say in what their electoral college vote is. They have the ability to completely ignore how the election turned out and simply choose any presidential candidate they want. It's right there in the Constitution. And the swing states that are going to decide this election, I mean, you kind of set aside all the other states, although we still need to turn up in overwhelming numbers in every state in the union. But the swing states that are going to decide this election are Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Ohio, Arizona, and New Hampshire. And what do those 9 states have in common? They all have Republican-controlled legislatures. They all could do what Florida did in 2000 when the Florida legislature, led by their Senate Majority Leader, John McKay, was preparing to vote to say, yes, all our electors are going to go for George W. Bush. Now, they ended up not doing that because the Supreme Court did it for them. But had the Supreme Court not done that, the Florida legislature was prepared to say, it doesn't matter who wins the election. We are going to send George W. Bush electors to Washington, D.C. and award the presidency to George W. Bush. They just came right out and said it. And these 9 states can do this. And Republicans are talking about it right now. And by the way, one of the things that really startled me when I was reading this article published in 2000 by David Barstow and Somini Sengupta in the New York Times was that the lawyer who was advising the Florida Republicans was a guy by the name of John Yoo. Yeah, that guy. He's now a law professor at the University of California, but when he was with the George Bush, Dick Cheney administration, he was the guy who, along with Jay Bybee, who's now on the Ninth Circuit, these guys both got well rewarded for their work. John Yoo was the guy who said, oh yeah, waterboarding is not torture. Go ahead, do it. Slam them into the wall, no problem. Crush their children's testicles, that's okay. Right in front of them, in fact. So this is the guy who is advising the Republicans on this. I mean, it's pretty clear now that the Republicans in those states are planning to do what Republicans did in 1876 and have their state legislatures direct the electoral vote for Donald Trump, even though Joe Biden may have won more votes in their states. And when that happens, the Democrats are going to say, well, Republicans are trying to steal the election. And they will sue. And that lawsuit is going to go to the Supreme Court. And Donald Trump is concerned that the Supreme Court Chief Justice, John Roberts, may waffle on this, and it could be a 4-4 decision, which might not produce the result of Donald Trump being president, even though he massively lost both the electoral vote and the popular vote. And so he's trying to get a 6th right-wing vote on the court so that if John Roberts defects, he will have 5 votes in a 5-4 decision. And that's why Republicans are pushing so hard to get their Supreme Court nominee on the bench before November. So this election is now in our hands. We have to push really hard on our senators, particularly if you are represented by a Republican in the United States Senate. You need to be calling their offices. You need to be tweeting about them. You need to be talking about them on social media. You need to be calling them out. Because this is part of Trump's plan to steal the White House and turn America from a democratic republic into a banana republic, into a right-wing authoritarian regime. And also, double check and make sure that you're registered to vote. Go to iwillvote.com and make sure that the Republicans haven't removed your name from the voting rolls. They're doing it literally every day in these 9 states. You've got Republicans, well, not in all 9 states, but in many of these states, Republicans are actively removing voters from the voting rolls, particularly if you live in an area that typically votes Democratic, or if you live in an area that has a high population of African Americans, Hispanics, or Native Americans. They are coming for you. So go to iwillvote.com and make sure that your voter registration is up to date. Stick around. We'll be right back with Greg Palast.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 202-808-9925.
We'll be right back. It's It's coming up. We're hitting the bottom of the hour. Coming up on 28 minutes past the hour. So here we are in the last week of the Free Speech TV fund drive, and we are behind. We're behind by a few tens of thousands of dollars right now from where we should be in this fundraising program at this point. And we only have, today, Thursday, and Friday to go. And to hit that goal, our fundraising goal for this quarter, and to unlock that $10,000 challenge from Andrew in San Diego. We're a ways away from that. So it's really important that you call now. 877-378-8669. Free Speech TV needs your help. This program needs your help. It's just progressive television. A progressive message in America needs your help. And by the way, by helping Free Speech TV, you're not just helping Free Speech TV. You're helping all the progressive candidates who are out there. You're helping just the whole broad spectrum. Frankly, given this time, given the fact that right now we are literally battling a rise of neo-Nazi fascism in the United States within the Republican Party, explicit neo-Nazi fascism. I mean, they literally show up with swastikas. The fact that we are battling that, this is insanely urgent. I mean, we don't get more urgent times than this. And progressive media is absolutely part of the solution. I was on yesterday afternoon after I got off the air. I was on with a $240 gift. There's this virtual meet and greet, and we had our September one yesterday afternoon, right after I got off the air. Met with some just great people, a lot of really good questions and very personal conversations that we had that I thought was just wonderful. And one of the people in the call has been doing phone banking for years. I mean, I was so impressed. And people who are really care and really concerned about what's going on. And a lot of the concern is around, how this all plays out. And none of us have a crystal ball. We know that the Republicans, if they want to steal an election, if they want to just play pure power politics, they actually have a couple of tools that they can wield. But the most important thing that we can do is share information, is wake people up. And that's what we're doing right here on Free Speech TV. That's what I'm trying to do with this program. And I know all of my colleagues on Free Speech TV, those that I regularly talk with and those that I just occasionally or slightly know, we all share a commitment to a pluralistic, egalitarian society in America where everybody has an equal shot, in America where nobody falls so low that they can't be retrieved or they can't be helped, in America where essentially hate is rejected and love is embraced. And I realize, that sounds so airy-fairy, but really that's the foundation of the whole thing. And you find it right here on Free Speech TV. So please call now and help support this television network and keep this message going. 877-378-8669 is the telephone number. We need your help right now. We really need to make this and Thursday and Friday, we need to make them big days so that not just that we can unlock Andrew's $10,000 match, but also, which will double your donation, but also to keep this network on the air, right? This is what needs to be done. This is how we have to raise the money to keep this network on the air. So there's some premiums with a $20 gift. You have your choice of the Thom Hartmann University bumper sticker, the sticker that says "Fight for Democracy," or a set of 3 stainless steel straws. Never again poison the ocean when you drink a beverage, if you go out to drink a beverage, or if you're doing it at home. With a $50 gift, you got the Free Speech TV webcam cover, the postcard pack, Fight for Democracy, and your choice of 2 tote bags. One says "Change never happens from the top down," paraphrasing Margaret Mead, and the other really cool one says "Be Notorious," an homage to Ruth Bader Ginsburg. With the $75 gift, you've got the Thom Hartmann Program mug, the official mug for our show, or the Free Speech TV black hat. With a $100 gift, a couple of face masks, 2 face masks that say what we can grow from crisis. With a $120 gift, your choice of either an Ask Me About Free Speech TV t-shirt, which is great for evangelizing the network, which we need you to be doing, or your choice of one of the 4 following books: Ruth Bader Ginsburg's book, My Own Words, The Hidden History of the War on Voting by me, How Trump Stole 2020 by Greg Palast, or my newest book, The Hidden History of Monopoly, How Big Business Destroyed the American Dream by me. With a $240 gift, drop in on our virtual meet and greet. The next one is October 14th. There'll be another one on November 18th. Be great to see you there. With a $360 gift, the Thom Hartmann University Fall Box, the bumper sticker, the student bumper sticker, the democracy sticker, the Free Speech TV tote bag, the democracy postcards, and my book on monopolies. And with a $1,000 gift, come to Portland once all this craziness is over and we'll hang out together. So those are the premiums. But the bottom line is we need you to call now, 877-378-8669, and make your contribution to Free Speech TV. Please call now. Time is of the essence. This is vital. Please call now. Thank you. On this week's Science Revolution, how Trump's new herd mentality strategy could kill 6 million Americans and destroy our economy. Trump doesn't know how to run a business, so we shouldn't be surprised that he doesn't know how to run a country. His latest failure, tragically, is the United States of America. Economist Richard Wolff and Dr. Justin Frank drop by on all this. Plus, Dr. Gary Yo is here on the apocalyptic wildfires and climate warming. Tune into the Science Revolution wherever fine podcasts are available. Welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you. Some of the issues that I think are really, really, really important to Americans and to the fate and future of the United States are apparently not going to show up in the presidential debate next week. It's going to be next Tuesday, as I recall, and Chris Wallace of Fox News is hosting the debate. And you would think that climate change, as California, Oregon, and Washington State are on fire, actually as 12 Western states are on fire. I mean, we're having it really, really bad. But and as multiple hurricanes keep hitting the Gulf Coast, and as we're getting derechos, however you say it, we're getting these, multi-mile long hurricane bands moving through the Midwest. You would think that we would be discussing climate change at the presidential debate. No, Chris Wallace has decided climate change not so important. Police violence. America has been convulsed by protests against police violence, particularly against black men, but more broadly, police violence in general, as we saw here in Portland. And Chris Wallace and Fox News think, well, that's not anything that Americans need to talk about. Health care. The Affordable Care Act is before the Supreme Court right now. The Trump administration is arguing the entire thing should be struck down, including your protection against being ripped off by your insurance companies with regard to pre-existing conditions. Chris Wallace and Fox News are saying, no, it doesn't matter. We're not going to talk about that. Unemployment. Our unemployment rate is where it was during the Great Depression. Chris Wallace has decided, no, don't want to talk about that. Immigration. Donald Trump has shut down basically all immigration into the United States, including legal immigration. They're not, for all practical purposes, not even issuing new green cards. We won't talk about that. Russia interfering in our election right now, and Donald Trump, apparently the wholly owned subsidiary of Vladimir Putin Incorporated. No, we're not going to talk about Russia. America is humiliated in the world stage. The rest of the world is either laughing at us or in shock and horror. And America's standing in the world? No, that's not going to be a topic that Chris Wallace wants to bring up to discuss between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, whether a Biden presidency would restore the world's trust in the United States. No, we don't want to talk about that. How about the politicization of the federal government? You've got, the Redfield, the director of the CDC, ordering the CDC to stop telling meatpacking companies how to keep their people safe. No, we're not going to talk about that. That's no big deal. How about extreme corruption in the federal government? Every major government agency now is run by an industry lobbyist. No, we're not going to talk about that. How about civil rights and voting rights? No. These are not the big issues. What are the big issues? The Trump and Biden records. You know, who was a better vice president or president? The Supreme Court, COVID-19, the economy, race and violence in our cities, and the integrity of the election. Those are things that certainly deserve some discussion. But it seems to me like climate change, police violence, healthcare, abortion, unemployment, immigration, Russia, America's standing in the world, all of these things are, if not equally, I would say more important. It's just mind-boggling. Anyway, and now, by the way, this just came out. This is a new report claims that this was in the Washington Post. President Donald Trump has privately accused America's Jews of being more loyal to one another than to the United States. This is the exact same hit on Jewish people that was used by the Tsar in Russia back in 1910 and that was used by Hitler in Germany in the 1930s. Oh, they're more loyal to their Jewish brothers and sisters than they are to our nation. A Jew can't be a true American. This was the kind of thing that Lindbergh was implying back in the day, the original America First movement. He also said, according to these sources, quote, Trump has maintained that black Americans have mainly themselves to blame in their struggle for equality. And he could never understand why Melania Trump would want to go to that S-hole continent, Africa. This is nuts. Just nuts. And then what's the right-wing press have to say? Just FYI, and then I'll pick up your phone calls. Communities Digital News, America in peril if RBG's SCOTUS seat is not filled before election. That's the headline. The headline over at Town Hall, Dems threaten to burn down the Republic to stack the Supreme Court. The Washington Times, the paper used to be owned by the Moonies, it's now just another right-wing paper. Similarities between Germany's Nazis and America's peaceful protesters. I'll just read you the first paragraph. As the parallels between the Weimar Republic and today's America accumulate ominously, there is one parallel that is worth particular attention. That is the characterization of ideological hooligans as peaceful protesters. We need to remember that Hitler's brown shirts were similarly characterized in the early days when they were cudgeling their way to power. No, I'm sorry, Hitler's brown shirts were called violent terrorists. I mean, the German press was pretty clear about this. Read William Shearer's book, The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich. But, reality doesn't have much place in the right-wingosphere. Fox News, Amy Coney Barrett has the qualities we need and deserve in a justice. Pat Buchanan, the last chance to capture the Supreme Court. Now, you've already got it. You've had it for, basically since the 1970s. Kamala Harris will remind everyone how awful she is during confirmation hearings. Well, we'll see. But anyway, onward, on through it goes. Alan in Charlotte, North Carolina. Hey, Alan, what's on your mind today?
Hi, Tom. I wanted to put up with all the Supreme Court stuff going on, if the Democrats win and take control of the Senate, do we not have the option of, number one, going after and impeaching this? I don't even want to mention her name because, she's a non-entity to me. The woman who will be appointed or who will be like Trump, and then go back and try to impeach Kavanaugh to try to get two of the seats back because this woman is being appointed by a president who really won illegally, and Kavanaugh should not have been approved because of the charges against him. I just don't see why they would not go after the judges at that point.
Unless we can demonstrate that those votes in Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Ohio were manipulated by a foreign government, or that there was some other form of interference. I suppose you could argue that because he paid off Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal to be quiet before the election. I mean, that was a clear violation of election law. But the Constitution basically says the Electoral College decides the president, period, full stop. It also says that individual states can direct their electors to vote for whoever they damn well please. And that's the big problem we're facing. So to say that he was elected illegally and therefore is not going to work, number one. Number two, Alan, impeachment is a process that has to originate in the House of Representatives and then goes directly to the Senate, where the senators vote to remove somebody. If they didn't vote, if the senators would not even listen to a single witness, John Bolton is out today saying, I wanted to testify to the Senate and I wanted my book out by then, but the White House was holding it up. If the Senate continues to basically stonewall on behalf of Donald Trump, I don't see any chance that's going to be happening. Alan, thanks for the call. Irene in New York City. Hey, Irene, what's up?
Hey, Tom. Yeah, I hope this isn't off topic, but this is about the attack on the Postal Service. It's very palpable here.
Sure.
Upper West Side of Manhattan. I live by Columbia. I have no ID now. It keeps not coming in the mail. I paid for it in April. Everything shut down. Things reopened in July. I asked about it. They said, we sent it. I didn't get it, which means I still don't have it and somebody else does. I don't know. I tried again. I can't even get an absentee ballot sent to me.
Wow.
It's in the mail.
Because the mail is screwed up.
The mail is all screwed up.
Yeah, not a good thing, Irene.
No, this is terrifying.
Yeah. No,
He's messing with the mail service. And I get ads for, Bed Bath & Beyond. But my license, I've been trying to get since, April.
Third-class mail is coming through, but...
the junk mail.
Irene, I don't have an easy answer for you. I'm sorry. Teresa in Bellevue, Washington. Hey, Teresa, what's up?
Hi, Tom. Hey, tough times, but you know what? I think we might be in for a long haul to regain our democracy, but I feel hopeful. We'll do it. We'll do it. The topic I wanted to talk about is abortion rights, and for the longest time, I've thought to myself, okay, why isn't it argued under the basis of religious freedom? Because, here's how my thinking goes, that when life begins, apart from, the objective, scientific measurable basis of viability, anything before that is actually a religious question. And so why does it, for example,
well, and Teresa, I'm sorry we're running out of time here, but what the Supreme Court said basically was that, life begins at viability, arguably. But that is, I believe, a religious question. And I think you're right on that, but, I don't think it's going to be resolved anytime soon.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann. Visit ThomHartmann.com for audio and video archives.
45 minutes past the hour. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. Nick, I'm going to pick up your phone call in about 4 minutes. Callie, if I'm saying that right, in Marietta, California?
Kylie, yes.
Kylie.
My point is that when senators can say one thing, 4 years ago and then change their mind, and even especially when they have said, hold us accountable to what we say, and we don't, and the other senators don't, it undermines the integrity of the whole Senate. If we can't trust them to keep to their words, then nothing they say and nothing they do really matters. Why should we put our trust in them? So I think it's so important
Kylie,
that...
Go ahead.
No, I just think it's so important that, whoever's in charge there, that they be held accountable to what they say.
Yeah.
What can be done?
But the simple reality is that politicians have never been accountable for what they say other than at the ballot box. I mean, and that's how the system is designed. That if you don't like the way that your politician is behaving, vote them out. But politicians lying to Americans is something that goes back to the John Adams administration. It's not new, and I'm not particularly hopeful that we're going to be able to, particularly the Republicans in the Senate. But, hey, there are Democrats who lie to their constituents as well. I'd put Joe Lieberman at the top of that list, although he's not in Congress anymore, but, thinking of the Senate. I think that just complaining about them is not going to be enough, Kylie. What we need to be doing, you're in California.
No, I understand that just complaining about them is not enough, but nowadays we have them on tape. We have them speaking before the nation. We have them asking us to hold them accountable. So before, they could say things in private and it's all hearsay, but nowadays we have them on tape. Play their words back to them and hold them accountable. We as a people have to... how can we do anything? Voting takes every 2 years or every 4 years to change. By then, they could commit a multitude of sins against the American people, and nothing can be done.
Yeah. Kylie, you're in California. The one thing that you can do, the person that you're talking about, by the way, is Lindsey Graham, as we both know. And, Lindsey Graham, who is the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee that will decide, that will recommend or will do the first pass on a Supreme Court nominee, famously said 4 years ago, hold me to my word, right? You can use my words against me, that we should not be deciding a Supreme Court nominee in the last year of a president's term when they're up for re-election, or when there's an election coming. I get that. The main thing that you could do as a resident of California is go to Jamie Harrison's website and help him out. Volunteer to phone bank for him. Send him a few bucks. Whatever it may be. Jamie Harrison actually is polling right now 50-50 with Lindsey Graham in South Carolina. And, if you want to see Lindsey Graham pay the price for his lying to the American people and failing to keep his own word, the way to do that is to get him kicked out of the Senate. Get him replaced by Jamie Harrison. It's real simple. It's how our system is supposed to work. So, go for it. It's coming up on 10 minutes past the hour. I'll be right back. The hidden history of the Supreme Court tells the story of Nixon and Reagan's committing treason to steal the White House. So for our Thom Hartmann Insider videotape that is over, or videotape. Hi, Thom Hartmann here. In my new book, The Hidden History of Monopolies, How Big Business Destroyed the American Dream, I'll be taking you from the birth of America as a revolt against monopoly, remember the Boston Tea Party, to the largely successful efforts of both Presidents Theodore and Franklin Roosevelt and other like-minded leaders to constrain corporations' monopolistic urges, to the massive changes in the rules of business starting during the Reagan Revolution that have brought us into the cancer stage of capitalism. In the foreword by Ralph Nader, he says, "This is the most important dynamic book on the cancers of monopoly by giant corporations written in our generation." End quote. It's the fourth in my Hidden History series, available where all fine books are sold. And don't forget, democracy is not a spectator sport. Democracy starts with you. Tag, you're it. Welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you. Nick in Jersey City. Hey, Nick, what's on your mind today?
Hi, Tom. Thanks for taking my call. I'll be straight to the point. I'm a Trump supporter, and I've been trying to find one of my Democrat friends, and also just Democrats in the country, to condemn the tactics used by Obama's Department of Justice in Crossfire Hurricane. And I would like to know if you would do that, and I would like to know if Republicans are now allowed to use those same tactics and use this FBI and use the CIA against Democratic presidential candidates.
Okay, so let's be very clear about this, Nick. Operation Crossfire Hurricane was an investigation into whether Donald Trump's campaign had people inside that campaign who were working for or coordinating with Russia or other foreign governments. Are we on the same page here?
Yes, I mean, we could talk about the origins, about why they launched that investigation and what they did with the FISA court and what they did with the dossier, et cetera, et cetera. But in general, yes, I agree with that description of what was going on.
Okay. So if, let's take this out of the realm of politics. You know, my initial instinct was to say if Obama was doing it, but let's just take it out of the realm of politics. If the FBI, which is sworn to protect the national security of the United States, learns that multiple members of a person who has just been elected president, multiple members of their cabinet, and at least one member of their campaign, and at least one member who is proposed for their cabinet, their national security advisor, are actually being paid by foreign governments. And you and I both know Mike Flynn got $500,000 from Turkey, are being paid by foreign governments and are interacting with foreign governments, as we had, 7 different members of the Trump campaign, including Paul Manafort, who had worked for, Putin-related oligarchs all over the world, actually, for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
That those people are engaged in that kind of practice. What should they do? Are you suggesting they should just ignore it?
No, I'm not suggesting they should ignore it. So I want to know what the standard is, because I'm a Republican and I'm upset. I feel like Donald Trump is kind of like wimping out a little bit, because I feel like he should be doing the same thing as it relates to Vice President Biden and Rosemont Seneca and their dealings with the Aviation Industry Corporation of China, state-owned.
They are.
Space and
they are right now, Nick.
So
Bill Barr, the Attorney General of the United States, has come out and said, yes, we are investigating Joe Biden. Ron Johnson just released something this morning in the Senate saying, here's what we learned when we went over and talked with, one of Putin's guys.
All right, the wealthiest woman in Russia gave Hunter Biden $3.5 million. I'm aware of that.
Right,
so
that is what Ron Johnson is saying. And exactly. And do you think that the FBI has not looked into this, Nick?
I'm just curious. Look, I'm trying to avoid a civil war, and I want to know what the rules are.
Yeah, me too.
I want to know what my side could do.
I'm with you.
I want to know what my side could do.
I'm saying, if there's any evidence, I'm sorry, we're talking past each other, Nick, and it's probably because there's a little bit of a time delay here, but I'll give you, within the 2 minutes we have until we're going to end this hour, all the time you want. But to the best of my knowledge, if there is any evidence that Hunter Biden or Joe Biden or anybody else is colluding with a foreign power to seize control of the White House or to sell out the interests of the United States, I want the FBI on that. And I would want I wanted the FBI on it 4 years ago when you had Mike Flynn, secretly meeting with the Russian ambassador and interfering with U.S. foreign policy before Trump was sworn into office. And we know that happened. Mike Flynn has pled guilty to it twice and admitted it in public. That's a major crime. I mean, you had a federal judge call that treason. That should be investigated too. I think regardless of party, if you've got American politicians who are dancing to the tune of foreign oligarchs, you've got 7 Republicans who went over and spent the 4th of July in Russia. Ron Johnson was one of them. What the hell is going on here, Nick?
I agree. I'm against American. Look, I'm an importer-exporter. I do business overseas too, but I wouldn't do business with a state-owned aerospace firm as the son of the sitting vice president with the People's Republic of China. How about China General Nuclear, which the Department of Justice, Obama's Department of Justice, accused of conducting espionage for nuclear state secrets for the last 22 years? The guy's an equity partner.
Nick, I am completely with you. Hunter Biden screwed up hugely. But the question is, did Joe Biden change U.S. foreign policy as a result of that? And that's something that, should be looked into. And I think Ron Johnson's trying to raise this issue. He's saying he didn't. I haven't seen any evidence that he did, but, I'm willing to listen. But we know for a fact that Donald Trump on multiple occasions has changed U.S. foreign policy to favor Russia. Aren't you concerned about that?
No, I frankly, no, nothing came up.
You're not?
I mean, I'm not.
You don't think the other nation would?
If there was actual collusion between Donald Trump and Russia, I would be concerned about that. But there was a.
You don't think that him hanging out with Vladimir Putin for 2 hours privately and then coming out and saying, "Oh, Putin didn't try to interfere in the 2016 election," when all of our intelligence agencies say that's not true, is collusion?
called diplomacy. He's not going to say that he did it right there when he's right next to him with all the cameras right in front of him. That was diplomacy.
Why not? George W. Bush did.
Do you think that
George W. Bush called out Putin to his face repeatedly?
Russia's economy is 7% our economy. It's nothing.
And they have as many nukes as we do,
China's the real-
Nick, I got to run, but thank you for the call. I share your concern about a civil war. Thank you.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann.
Hi, Thom Hartmann here. In my new book, The Hidden History of Monopolies, How Big Business Destroyed the American Dream, I'll be taking you from the birth of America as a revolt against monopoly, remember the Boston Tea Party, to the largely successful efforts of both Presidents Theodore and Franklin Roosevelt and other like-minded leaders to constrain corporations' monopolistic urges, to the massive changes in the rules of business starting during the Reagan Revolution that have brought us into the cancer stage of capitalism. In the foreword by Ralph Nader, he says, "This is the most important dynamic book on the cancers of monopoly by giant corporations written in our generation." End quote. It's the fourth in my Hidden History series, available where all fine books are sold. And don't forget, democracy is not a spectator sport. Democracy starts with you. Tag, you're it.
We take life back!
So here we are in the last week of the Free Speech TV fund drive, and we are behind. We're behind by a few tens of thousands of dollars right now from where we should be in this fundraising program at this point. And we only have, today, Thursday, and Friday to go. And to hit that goal, our fundraising goal for this quarter, and to unlock that $10,000 challenge from Andrew in San Diego. We're a ways away from that. So it's really important that you call now, 877-378-8669. Free Speech TV needs your help. This program needs your help. It's just progressive television, a progressive message in America needs your help. And by the way, by helping Free Speech TV, you're not just helping Free Speech TV. You're helping all the progressive candidates who are out there. You're helping just the whole broad spectrum. Frankly, given this time, given the fact that right now we are literally battling a rise of neo-Nazi fascism in the United States within the Republican Party, explicit neo-Nazi fascism. I mean, they literally show up with swastikas. The fact that we are battling that, this is insanely urgent. I mean, we don't get more urgent times than this. And progressive media is absolutely part of the solution. I was on yesterday afternoon after I got off the air. I was on with a $240 gift. There's this virtual meet and greet. We had our September one yesterday afternoon, right after I got off the air. Met with some just great people, a lot of really good questions and very personal conversations that we had that I thought was just wonderful. And one of the people in the call has been doing phone banking for years. I mean, I was so impressed. And people who are really care and really concerned about what's going on. And a lot of the concern is around, how this all plays out. And none of us have a crystal ball. We know that the Republicans, if they want to steal an election, if they want to just play pure power politics, they actually have a couple of tools that they can wield. But the most important thing that we can do is share information, is wake people up. And that's what we're doing right here on Free Speech TV. That's what I'm trying to do with this program. And I know all of my colleagues on Free Speech TV, those that I regularly talk with and those that I just occasionally or slightly know, we all share a commitment to a pluralistic, egalitarian society in America where everybody has an equal shot, in America where nobody falls so low that they can't be retrieved or they can't be helped, in America where essentially hate is rejected and love is embraced. And I realize, that sounds so airy-fairy, but really that's the foundation of the whole thing. And you find it right here on Free Speech TV. So please call now and help support this television network and keep this message going. 877-378-8669 is the telephone number. We need your help right now. We really need to make this and Thursday and Friday, we need to make them big days so that not just that we can unlock Andrew's $10,000 match, but also, which will double your donation, but also to keep this network on the air. Right? This is what needs to be done. This is how we have to raise the money to keep this network on the air. So there's some premiums with a $20 gift. You have your choice of the Thom Hartmann University bumper sticker, the sticker that says "Fight for Democracy," or a set of 3 stainless steel straws. Never again poison the ocean when you drink a beverage. If you go out to drink a beverage, or if you're doing it at home, with a $50 gift, you got the Free Speech TV webcam cover, the postcard pack, Fight for Democracy, and your choice of 2 tote bags. One says, "Change never happens from the top down," paraphrasing Margaret Mead. And the other really cool one says, "Be Notorious," an homage to Ruth Bader Ginsburg. With the $75 gift, you've got the Thom Hartmann Program mug, the official mug for our show, or the Free Speech TV black hat. With a $100 gift, a couple of face masks, 2 face masks that say "What We Can Grow from Crisis." With a $120 gift, your choice of either an Ask Me About Free Speech TV t-shirt, which is great for evangelizing the network, which we need you to be doing, or your choice of one of the 4 following books: Ruth Bader Ginsburg's book, My Own Words, The Hidden History of the War on Voting by me, How Trump Stole 2020 by Greg Palast, or my newest book, The Hidden History of Monopoly, How Big Business Destroyed the American Dream by me. With a $240 gift, drop in on our virtual meet and greet. The next one is October 14th. There'll be another one on November 18th. Be great to see you there. With a $360 gift, the Thom Hartmann University Fall Box, the bumper sticker, the student bumper sticker, the democracy sticker, the Free Speech TV tote bag, the democracy postcards, and my book on monopolies. And with a $1,000 gift, come to Portland once all this craziness is over and we'll hang out together. So those are the premiums. But the bottom line is we need you to call now, 877-378-8669, and make your contribution to Free Speech TV. Please call now. Time is of the essence. This is vital. Please call now. Thank you.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you. So I'm over at the website markedbycovid.com, M-A-R-K-E-D by B-Y, COVID, C-O-V-I-D.com. And looking at pictures of Mark Anthony Urquiza and his daughter Kristin. He died of COVID. And I mean, this is a movement of people who have been affected by COVID-19. And it's absolutely remarkable. And Kristin Urquiza has been out there speaking about this and doing just an absolutely brilliant job. Put together this website, markedbycovid.com. It's also the Twitter handle, marked by, M-A-R-K-E-D, marked by COVID. And on the line with us is Kristin Urquiza herself. Kristin, welcome to the program. Tell us about your dad and about how you can say that he only had one single underlying condition before he died.
My dad, Mark. Hi, Tom.
Hey, there you go. Yeah, we got you now.
Great. Yay. Thanks for having me on the show. I am happy to be here and tell you a little bit more about what we're up to. My dad was, a 65-year-old exuberant guy who was, the life of the party often. He loved his family. He loved bringing people together to celebrate, whether it was a birthday, graduation, reunion. And he unfortunately contracted COVID in mid-June and passed away on June 30th.
I'm so sorry to hear that. And his pre-existing condition was?
His only pre-existing condition was trusting Donald Trump. And he was a Republican, a lifelong supporter of the Republican Party. He was a voter for Trump, and he listened to him. He listened to the president whenever he said we were on the other side of the pandemic, that if you didn't have an underlying health condition, that it was safe to resume normal activities. And when the state of Arizona opened up in May, that's what my dad did. He did what the president told him was safe to do. And for that, he paid with his life.
That's amazing. Are you, over your website, markedbycovid.com, are you hearing from other people with similar stories?
Oh my gosh, Tom, it is overwhelming. Part of the reason why I launched Marked by COVID with my partner, Kristin, was to create community and connect and to help personify and humanize the colossal life loss that we're seeing. And on day one, people were coming to me saying, thank you. I just lost my parent. Here's what happened. Thank you. I just lost my child. Here's what happened. And also, we need a coordinated response, and our leadership has failed us. Thank you for speaking out about this.
That's great. You've got a website here. You've kind of launched a movement, this Marked by COVID movement. You're encouraging people to sign up and participate. I'll do so when we get off the air. I just hit the website a little bit ago. Where do you want to go with this? What is the outcome you're trying to achieve?
Thank you for asking. I agree. I believe that we are building a movement of those who have been impacted or marked by COVID. And it's not only just about people who have lost loved ones. It's about the profound ways in which we've been impacted by COVID, from the survivors to teachers who are terrified to go back to school. And so we're working to help elevate and lift their stories to really be able to call on a coordinated, data-driven national response to the pandemic right now. But also long-term, we're starting to think about what is the recovery look like? What does reconciliation look like? Restitution, recognition, and really promoting a equitable outcomes for the people most impacted by this virus. We need to make sure that the people who have been most impacted have a seat at that table so that their needs are met, and that once we're past the crisis, that we're actually creating policy and rebuilding in a way that doesn't leave behind the millions of people who have been so disproportionately impacted by our pandemic response.
Yeah, absolutely. Kristin Urquiza is the person who has started this in memory of her father, Mark Anthony Urquiza, and the website is markedbycovid.com. Kristin, you are doing God's work. You're doing great work, and I thank you so much for dropping by and telling us about what you're up to and telling us the story of your father. And thank you. Thank you so much for dropping by.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
It's my pleasure. Markedbycovid.com is the website. You want to check it out and, sign up, get on the mailing list and moving forward. Kristin Urquiza. Dave in Las Vegas. Hey, Dave, what's on your mind today?
Yeah, on that Trump supporter just called you a few minutes ago. At the end of the conversation, he says, well, it's a matter of diplomacy. And I'm jumping in front of the TV like, this man just poisoned his political rival in his own country, and you want to talk diplomacy?
Right.
You know?
Well, and my point was, it would be easy to say Barack Obama called out Putin to his face. I mean, the pictures of that are all over the place. But George W. Bush did too. And so did Ronald Reagan, and not specifically Putin, but, if Eisenhower, I mean, we have a long history of our presidents on both parties standing up and speaking the truth about a whole wide range of foreign governments, including, the former Soviet Union and now Russia, but, right across the board. And these guys who are so loyal to Trump that they're willing to overlook the national interest is frankly, both saddening and shocking. To me. But Dave, I'm with you. Thank you for the call. Eric in Erie, Pennsylvania. Hey, Eric, what's on your mind today?
Hey, Tom, I was just wondering if it was time for us, the champion of democratic governments and nation building, if it was time for us to start having some election monitoring by an international group that is globally recognized as ensuring security and credibility of elections, the way the United States has many times, thumped its chest about how, we're over in this country or that, making sure that they have free and fair elections. I think we could use a little bit of babysitting on our own elections, don't you think?
I think so, yeah. We'll be talking to Greg Palast in a little bit, and I don't know if he remembers the minute details. I don't, but I remember broadly speaking that in the 2000 election, there was an effort, I believe, by the United Nations to put election monitors in a number of U.S. states, and that my recollection is that Ohio banned them, and there may be other states, but I think that we've seen this movie before, Eric. And the Republicans basically said, no, we will not have election monitors in the United States. Go ahead.
If Kristin Urquiza is still listening, something occurred to me while she was mentioning they're going to be kind of a clearinghouse for information for all kinds of different aspects of COVID-affected lives and families. And a point of fact that they might want to include as something that they're collating data on is those individuals who were, deniers and mask-refusing fist-fighters in supermarkets and Trump rally attendees and so forth, those individuals who behaved in that way, their medical insurance companies have a right to know that they have culpability, as well as Medicare, Medicaid, us taxpayers, for those who voluntarily went extra into harm's way for us to pick up the pieces economically.
Yeah. I get what you're saying, Eric, but right now under the Affordable Care Act, you can't deny somebody care because of something that happened in the past. If Trump gets his right winger on the court and they shut down the Affordable Care Act, then maybe what you're saying could happen.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
It's 15 minutes past the hour. Back with more of the news of the day, your calls, and Greg Palast is going to drop by too. Stick around. And welcome back, Lisa in Montreal, Canada. Hey, Lisa, thanks for watching us on YouTube. You have a COVID report on your country?
Yeah, hi, Tom. Thanks for taking my call. Well, we're going through a little bit of a surge because it seems that whenever Europe has some type of uptick, we seem to follow along, a couple of months later, and that's exactly what's happening to us now. And but then again, our government has been telling us this for the past month or so we've been kind of prepared. But, about 2 weeks ago, we had, here in Montreal, in Quebec, we had a rally with about 5,000 yahoos of the anti-maskers. And that kind of freaked everybody out. So Legault, our premier, which is your equivalent to the governor, has come out and pretty forceful. So, or fines have been ticked up. Gatherings are lowered, indoor and outdoor, because now the weather here in Montreal, of course, is getting cooler. So people tend to move in more than anything, But masks are pretty mandatory. You cannot get in a grocery store without a mask. There's no way that you're going to see anybody running around through, like I saw in the States, a little clip of the Target, last week or so, anti-maskers. That just doesn't happen. Public transit, you have to be masked. Any indoor malls, you have to be masked. Taxis, buses. Our schools have started, and so far so good. It's been elementary and high schools. Our universities are still online. But people have been pretty much towing the line. The only worry now with the uptick, like today we had, yesterday it was 467 in the Montreal area. So we're in the orange zone, which is just one below the red. So bars and restaurants have to be closed now from midnight. Now it's gone down to 10 p.m. And because our main cases now are on those under 40, and we were kind of expecting this when high school students went back to school, and people started to get a little bit complacent. But I'm sure it's going to work out. We're going to rally. We did it before, so we'll rally again. You have to. It has to be a collective effort. And the news that's coming out of the States, like I spoke to my sister, I have two sisters in California on the weekend, and they're just completely demoralized. And here on the other side, we're just completely gobsmacked, flabbergasted. There's no words anymore that us Canadians can use to describe.
How's Canada going? Lisa, how will Canada react if Trump steals the election and America flips into becoming a fascist country?
I think I think that's our worst fear. We are just absolutely.
Is there a conversation going on in Canada about that?
Yes, there is, and it's rather scary. I mean, I
can imagine.
Beyond words.
Yeah. Lisa, I got to run, but thank you. Thanks for the update, and thank you for your thoughts. It's great to hear from you, and thanks for staying in touch. We'll be right back. Share the Thom Hartmann Program with your friends. We're available on SiriusXM, Free Speech TV, Pacifica, commercial stations nationwide, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, on the Thom Hartmann app, and you can even tell your smart speaker to listen to the Thom Hartmann Program. Hi, Thom Hartmann here. In my new book, The Hidden History of Monopolies, How Big Business Destroyed the American Dream, I'll be taking you from the birth of America as a revolt against monopoly, remember the Boston Tea Party, to the largely successful efforts of both Presidents Theodore and Franklin Roosevelt and other like-minded leaders to constrain corporations' monopolistic urges, to the massive changes in the rules of business starting during the Reagan Revolution that have brought us into the cancer stage of capitalism. In the foreword by Ralph Nader, he says, "This is the most important dynamic book on the cancers of monopoly by giant corporations written in our generation." End quote. It's the fourth in my Hidden History series, available where all fine books are sold. And don't forget, democracy is not a spectator sport. Democracy starts with you. Tag, you're it. And welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you. On the line with us, our old buddy Greg Palast, the investigative journalist known for his reports for the BBC, The Guardian, The Rolling Stone. He's the author of the new book, How Trump Stole 2020, The Hunt for America's Vanished Voters. And Greg, welcome back. Tell us about your lawsuit threat to the Georgia Secretary of State, Raffensperger. Do I have that right?
Raffensperger, believe it or not. It's about his Persian ways. He's the Persian general of Georgia. Took Brian Kemp's place. And, so what we have here is the smell of mendacity. As you know, and we reported on your program, first broke the story on the Thom Hartmann show, that the ACLU had issued a report by the Palace Investigative Fund and our experts saying that this guy Raffensperger, this GOP, there's no other way to put it, a stooge, removed 313,000 Georgians from the voter rolls in October of last year. And I put my address experts on it, and he said he got these names mostly from the U.S. Postal Service. So I literally hired the Postal Service and their licensed expert, a company named Merkel Company, and 4 other expert specialists. And they went through his list, and they said, this didn't come from the post office. The post office said it didn't come from the post office. I mean, it was, but interestingly, the hit list, the purge list, people removed from the voter rolls of Georgia were surprisingly disproportionately African American and young. And we went through the list name by name, found 198,351 people exactly. We have every name and address that were not on the post office move list, that have never moved from their home address. And he removed them as voters in Georgia because he said, well, they left the state or they left Atlanta. It's a lie. We caught him in the lie, and then he demanded that, and then we said, well, where did you get these bogus numbers? And when he wouldn't answer, we said, well, guess what? Under federal law, you have to tell us. You can't, this is not Georgia of the Soviet Union. This is Georgia of the United States, believe it or not. And you cannot remove voters from the voter rolls unless you show us how you did it and where you got this supposed postal list that the post office says ain't from us. You know, it's a hit list of black people. It's not from the post office. So we said, if you don't give us a name, we're suing you. You don't tell us how you got this list, we are suing you under federal law. You can't hide this. And, by the way, under federal law, you have to do what the Palace investigative team did. You must, by the federal law, use the post office itself and their designated licensee. We did. He didn't, and then he started lying. The post offices are lying. You know, just kept lying. So, but we are going to sue him unless he gives us the real stuff, and unless he gives us this
and he still has
bogus list.
Do you have any idea where the list might have come from? Is this, one of Chris Kobach's efforts or something like that?
Well, he did get one list from Chris Kobach, Chris Kobach of Kansas, Mr. KKK. We've exposed him. And when he tried to hide that from us, by the way, a federal judge slammed him over the head with her gavel, basically saying he was lying, that his office and Brian Kemp didn't get this information from Chris Kobach. So he dropped the Kobach list. By the way, he had to pay our fund for that, for his lies. Now he's come up with new lies and new lists because Kobach's out of business. We thank you, Tom. You helped put the Kobach and his cross-check list out of business. But he's got this new gimmick, and we're trying to find out, where do these lists come from? Who's giving him these lists? And if it were just Georgia, well, of course, Georgia's a swing state, not only for the presidency. Keep in mind, Tom, we got two Senate seats up neck and neck. This could control the Senate and the White House, Georgia. But if it were just Georgia, I wouldn't be worried. But this Georgia disease seemed to have been picked up by other GOP operatives, secretaries of state, purging voters in other states as well. So I'm very concerned that we get to the bottom of this, get to the bottom of it right away, and therefore we have said, look, you want to go back to the same judge and get clonged again? We're going to do it. We're going to drag you back in the court every single time. But I know the game he's playing. He's trying to make us sue and hold it past the election. Put these people back. We held a press conference with Black Voters Matter Fund and Latasha Brown, and to say, look, the ACLU caught you with this Jim Crow operation. Now put these people back.
But he has not yet done it, right?
No, he's attacking me. He's saying, give me your list. I said, I'll tell you what. I said, not only give you our list, we will buy the license for you from the post office to get the right list. We will give you the Palace Fund experts. I'm not the experts. We have the biggest names in America, and from Amazon and Google, who have lent us their experts to go through this list, and we'll get it right. But in the meantime, I'm giving you the names and addresses of 198,351 people who should be allowed to vote. And anyone in Georgia, please check your registration or go to SaveMyVote2020.org and see if you've been purged.
Right. There you go. Or IWillVote.com. That'll get you there, too. Greg Palast, GregPalast.com. You can read all about it on Greg's website. Also, you can read all about it in his new book, How Trump Stole 2020. Greg, thanks for dropping by. It's always great talking with you.
You're the best, Tom.
You back at you, Greg. We'll be back. It's coming up on 28 minutes past the hour.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 202-808-9925.
Back with your calls right after this. Stick around. So here we are in the last week of the Free Speech TV fund drive, and we are behind. We're behind by a few tens of thousands of dollars right now from where we should be in this fundraising program at this point. And we only have, today, Thursday, and Friday to go. And to hit that goal, our fundraising goal for this quarter, and to unlock that $10,000 challenge from Andrew in San Diego. We're a ways away from that. So it's really important that you call now. 877-378-8669. Free Speech TV needs your help. This program needs your help. It's just progressive television. A progressive message in America needs your help. And by the way, by helping Free Speech TV, you're not just helping Free Speech TV. You're helping all the progressive candidates who are out there. You're helping just the whole broad spectrum. Frankly, given this time, given the fact that right now we are literally battling a rise of neo-Nazi fascism in the United States within the Republican Party, explicit neo-Nazi fascism. I mean, they literally show up with swastikas. The fact that we are battling that, this is insanely urgent. I mean, we don't get more urgent times than this. And progressive media is absolutely part of the solution. I was on yesterday afternoon after I got off the air. I was on with a $240 gift. There's this virtual meet and greet. And we had our September one yesterday afternoon, right after I got off the air. Met with some just great people, a lot of really good questions and very personal conversations that we had that I thought was just wonderful. And one of the people in the call has been doing phone banking for years. I mean, I was so impressed. And people who are really care and really concerned about what's going on. And a lot of the concern is around, how this all plays out. And none of us have a crystal ball. We know that the Republicans, if they want to steal an election, if they want to just play pure power politics, they actually have a couple of tools that they can wield. But the most important thing that we can do is share information, is wake people up. And that's what we're doing right here on Free Speech TV. That's what I'm trying to do with this program. And I know all of my colleagues on Free Speech TV, those that I regularly talk with and those that I just occasionally or slightly know, we all share a commitment to a pluralistic, egalitarian society in America where everybody has an equal shot, in America where nobody falls so low that they can't be retrieved or they can't be helped, in America where essentially hate is rejected and love is embraced. And I realize, that sounds so airy-fairy, but really that's the foundation of the whole thing. And you find it right here on Free Speech TV. So please call now and help support this television network and keep this message going. 877-378-8669 is the telephone number. We need your help right now. We really need to make this and Thursday and Friday, we need to make them big days so that not just that we can unlock Andrew's $10,000 match, but also, which will double your donation, but also to keep this network on the air. right? This is what needs to be done. This is how we have to, raise the money to keep this network on the air. So there's some premiums with a $20 gift. You have your choice of the Thom Hartmann University bumper sticker, the sticker that says "Fight for Democracy," or a set of 3 stainless steel straws. Never again poison the ocean when you drink a beverage. If you go out to drink a beverage, or if you're doing it at home, with a $50 gift, you got the Free Speech TV webcam cover, the postcard pack, Fight for Democracy, and your choice of 2 tote bags. One says "Change never happens from the top down," paraphrasing Margaret Mead, and the other really cool one says "Be Notorious," an homage to Ruth Bader Ginsburg. With the $75 gift, you've got the Thom Hartmann Program mug, the official mug for our show, or the Free Speech TV black hat. With a $100 gift, a couple of face masks, 2 face masks that say "What we can grow from crisis." With a $120 gift, your choice of either an Ask Me About Free Speech TV t-shirt, which is great for evangelizing the network, which we need you to be doing, or your choice of one of the 4 following books: Ruth Bader Ginsburg's book, My Own Words, The Hidden History of the War on Voting by me, How Trump Stole 2020 by Greg Palast, or my newest book, The Hidden History of Monopoly, How Big Business Destroyed the American Dream by me. With a $240 gift, drop in on our virtual meet and greet. The next one is October 14th. There'll be another one on November 18th. Be great to see you there. With a $360 gift, the Thom Hartmann University Fall Box, the bumper sticker, the student bumper sticker, the democracy sticker, the Free Speech TV tote bag, the democracy postcards, and my book on monopolies. And with a $1,000 gift, come to Portland once all this craziness is over, and we'll hang out together. So those are the premiums. But the bottom line is we need you to call now, 877-378-8669, and make your contribution to Free Speech TV. Please call now. Time is of the essence. This is vital. Please call now. Thank you. The Hidden History of Monopoly tells how Robert Bork, that guy from the Reagan era, transformed corporate America and destroyed the American dream. So, hi, Thom Hartmann here. In my new book, The Hidden History of Monopolies, How Big Business Destroyed the American Dream, I'll be taking you from the birth of America as a revolt against monopoly. Remember the Boston Tea Party? To the largely successful efforts of both Presidents Theodore and Franklin Roosevelt and other like-minded leaders to constrain corporations' monopolistic urges, to the massive changes in the rules of business starting during the Reagan Revolution that have brought us into the cancer stage of capitalism. In the foreword by Ralph Nader, he says, "This is the most important dynamic book on the cancers of monopoly by giant corporations written in our generation." End quote. It's the 4th in my Hidden History series, available where all fine books are sold. And don't forget, democracy is not a spectator sport. Democracy starts with you. Tag, you're it. Welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you. And Jeff in Lansing, Michigan. Hey, Jeff, what's up? It says here you're a Trump supporter.
Hey, Jeff, how you doing? I was just calling in regards to that last caller before your break that stated we should have a foreign government monitor our elections. And in the last 4 years, everybody's up in arms about Russian interference. So how is a foreign government going to monitor our elections, and how are we going to ensure security of those elections if we allow a foreign power to intervene?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of a foreign government monitoring our elections, Jeff, but I do think that the UN, which has done this all over the world, wouldn't be a bad idea. And the Carter Center has also done this. I would think that people of both parties, of all parties, would be enthusiastic about having elections where the people's will is actually what happens, wouldn't you?
But that is what happened. In 2016, the people did vote in Donald Trump.
No, Donald Trump lost by 3 million votes in 2016.
Yeah, but the Electoral College, that's so California and New York doesn't dictate the rest of the country. I mean,
no, the Electoral College was so that the 3 days that it took for the news to get from D.C. down to Georgia you could get around it. Alexander Hamilton laid out the rationale for the Electoral College in the Federalist Papers at length. And he said the whole point of the Electoral College was that people far away, people in New Hampshire, people in Georgia, had no way of knowing if somebody running for president was, to quote Alexander Hamilton, a man of low moral character, end quote. And therefore, each state would elect a group of electors who would go to Washington, D.C. and interview the presidential candidates. They would vote what their state voted if they agreed that these were decent people, and if they discovered that the person who was running for president was actually some kind of cretin, they would not vote for them. And that, the usefulness of that evaporated with the Pony Express in 1820. I mean, it's just, there's no reason for it any longer. And the last Republican that a majority of Americans voted for initially for president was George Herbert Walker Bush in 1988. You've got two presidents, George W. Bush, who was put there, who lost the popular vote by 500,000 votes, and Donald Trump, who lost by 3 million votes. And it looks like this time around, even if Trump can figure out a way to stay in power, he's going to lose by more than 3 million votes. How is that a good thing, Jeff?
I think he will find a way to win the election. But why is it that Detroit gets to dictate what people do in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan based on population? That's the whole point of the Electoral College, is so that you don't have a large group of people.
That's not the point of the Electoral College, and that's called democracy, Jeff. What you're arguing, you're making the argument the libertarians make, that they don't believe in democracy, that we should not, that America should not be a democracy, that we should be run by an elite, technocratic class drawn from the business.
America is a republic. It's not a democracy. That's a common.
The words republic, Jeff. Okay, finish your point, Jeff.
It's just a common tactic that Democrats like to use. Is they want to say that we're a democracy. We're not a democracy. We're a republic.
Okay, so Jeff, what's the difference between a democracy and a republic?
The difference between democracy and republic is that people who aren't represented by the large group or by a large population in one area isn't going to be dictated to. Everybody gets an equal voice. If you go by
Jeff, I would encourage you to go back and I mean, just take a serious look at the history of this country. In the 1770s, 1780s, 1790s, when the Constitution was written, when our first president was put into place, during that period of time, the words democracy and republic were interchangeable. They meant the same thing. By and large, they still do. What we have as a form of government... Jeff, let me just finish a damn sentence, would you? Hold on. Just a second. What we have right now in the United States is a constitutionally limited... The Constitution limits the power of government, not the power of you and me. It limits the power of government. Constitutionally limited, representative. We don't have a direct democracy. We don't have a pure republic. We elect people to represent us. Representative, democratic, majority, whoever the majority votes for, that's who they've got representing them. Republic. We have a constitutionally limited, representative, democratic republic. That's what we are. And I get it that, back in the day, back in the 50s, when Joe McCarthy was doing his thing, when he was saying, never say Democratic Party, it sounds too nice. Say Democrat with an emphasis on the rat. And by the way, he said, never call America a democracy. That sounds too much like the damn Democratic Party. Call it a republic. It's a BS argument, Jeff. If your logic was true, then the state of Michigan would not vote for a senator.
Honestly, I think you're full of shit. I mean, you want to tell me to go read the Constitution?
Yeah. Sorry, Jeff. You can't use that kind of language on the air. Thank you. And Joyce, please flag him. Ron in Berrien Springs. Speaking of Michigan, Ron in Berrien Springs. Hey, Ron, what's up?
Hello, Tom. Tom, I have proof of this. Now, the Antifa is being accused by our federal government of starting these fires in the Northwest and in the West. In my opinion, and I'm going to give
they're not being accused by our government. The FBI has been coming out and saying there is no such thing. It is Russian trolls on Facebook who are promoting this idea.
Okay, all right, but still, the federal government
and they've got a bunch of right-wing suckers. It's really sad.
Right, but here's the thing.
Your point, Ron.
In my opinion, the right wing are the ones who are starting a fire. They are established in the Northwest. The Aryan Brotherhood, their training grounds, and with their training going to
Ron, I don't want to. I'm sorry, Ron, but I'm not going to go down the path of right-wing crazy conspiracy theories or left-wing crazy conspiracy theories. I get it. There was a story I saw this morning over at Daily Kos. I haven't had a chance to read it yet. That said that there was some concern that right-wingers were trying to foment a revolution. I mean, we already know this, right? You've got groups that are openly calling for an armed revolution or a civil war, basically a race war. The FBI has identified them and said that they're a threat to American security. This is the right-wing movement. Alejandro in Miami. Hey, Alejandro, what's up?
Hello, hello, Thom Hartmann. Just before I get into my question, I just wanted to, I know this irks me as a Spanish language speaker, but I wanted to correct you on your pronunciation of derecho. You say derecho, not that you're saying derecho or whatever. It's derecho, CH, derecho.
Derecho.
Derecho,
okay.
Right. And just to explain a little synopsis of, just because I just learned about it recently too, that the derecho is the opposite, obviously, of tornado or tornado in Spanish. So obviously, tornado in Spanish means twisted, and derecho means straight. So obviously, that's the contrast, and that was obviously, that's hence what it means in Spanish. Is derecho means straight, tornado means twisted. So, and it was invented. And the thing is, just as a Spanish speaker, I've never heard anyone use that term to refer to those kind of storms, because I think when I read it was invented by the meteorologists back in the 1800s as a contrast to explain tornadoes. Like, oh, what's the opposite of tornado? Oh, a derecho, because it's straight. So that's like a little history lesson there about that term. Yeah, and I just wanted to get with the pronunciation. But so, my main question was that I think why don't the Democrats and I guess everyone like the Lincoln Project people, and I think they've done it, but they should really hammer home what Mary Trump and other psychiatrists have said, that Trump's a crazy person. Screw the whole Democrat versus Republican thing. That and you just talked about it with the Electoral College about someone who's morally unfit. Trump is someone who's morally unfit. I don't think such a crazy person would have been voted for in Jefferson's time. So that's something that we should really hammer home, that he's not a mentally fit person for office. Someone who's a narcissist psychopath is the opposite person, to put in office. It's like saying, let me put the Joker for office. Or
Alejandro, a couple points. Number one, I would argue that probably Andrew Jackson was crazier than Donald Trump, or they were in the same league. Andrew Jackson enthusiastically murdered Indians. He was just like, oh boy, this is fun, right? Number one. Number two, I think that we need to be talking about people's policies. I'm horrified. I read Mary Trump's book, and I'm horrified by what I understand, and I've talked to psychologists and psychiatrists on this program. What appears to be the psychopathologies that Trump has. But the fact of the matter is that a lot of Americans like him. A lot of Americans like his policies, and a lot of Americans are going to vote for him. Over 60 million Americans voted for him 4 years ago. So I think that what we need to be talking about is the fact that Donald Trump has bragged about the fact that if he gets reelected, within 3 years, Social Security will be dead. By December, if he has his way with the Supreme Court, the Affordable Care Act and your protection against getting ripped off by your insurance company if you have pre-existing conditions will be dead. And the right of women to have an abortion in the first trimester of pregnancy, if they decide that's the best thing for them, will be dead. No pun intended.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann. Visit ThomHartmann.com for audio and video archives.
Not to mention your protection against being ripped off by your bank or your car dealer, your protection against having your air or water polluted, all those things will be dead too. And welcome back. Bobby in La Puente, California. Hey, Bobby, what's up?
Hey, Tom, I want to thank you for the show, your wife, your staff, honorary Teamsters. Thank you for bringing sanity.
Thank you.
Okay, I want to bring up COVID-19 and sports, collegiate sports. Okay, as I was saying, it's all about greed. We're supposed to curb the spread. How are you going to do this? Football is a contact sport. It's insanity. Come on. They already opened up the season. I heard Notre Dame, 14 players, quarantine. It's about the money, the greed. This King Nero which they call Trump, in my opinion, practicing the 7 deadly sins. You know what I'm saying? Greedy enough to murder, lust, all of this. I wish people would wake up. You know, I said a term, people are getting fleeced. Keep fleecing them, but don't cut them. You cut them, they will bleed. And that quote comes from Craig Hewitt. I don't know if you heard of him, and it makes sense. People wake up. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And thank you.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Well, I think people are waking up, Bobby. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think people are, and I am hoping that that this process continues. Bobby, thank you. Your words are deep and meaningful, and I appreciate the call. Jerry in Palmdale, California. Hey, Jerry, what's up?
Hi, Tom. Where would I go to find in one place a list of all Trump's bad acts, so to speak? I mean, including his executive orders or his legislation, his sexual misconduct that goes on and on. There's so much information out there. I mean, couldn't you find some place that you could have a list, like talking points about all these many things that he's done, his deregulation, impeachable offenses? Where could you find that? I mean,
well, I'm going to Democrats.org right now to see. I mean, which is the Democratic Party's website. No, it's all about how wonderful Joe Biden is. There's nothing on here about Donald Trump.
Something simple, like a list. You understand that. The simpler the better. Whether you're talking to somebody or trying to remember something that he did. It's simple. A handbook of whatever you could do to, remember all these things. And he's done a ton of them. And maybe even organize it some way to index it.
Jerry, if you're interested in taking on a project, I'm guessing if you could build a website like that and tweet it to me, I will, I'll publicize it. I don't know of such a website. I think there really should be one, crimesofttrump.com kind of thing,
Yeah, I mean, you're the most informative person that would remember them all. I mean, it's,
Yeah, well, I'm not able to remember them all, and the list does pile up. I mean, it's continuing. Jerry, I got to run, but thank you for the call. If anybody knows of such a site, tweet it to me, and I'll do what I can to pass it along. We'll be right back, coming up on 10 minutes before the hour. The hidden history of the war on voting tells how the GOP has been stealing elections for decades and will again this year unless we stop them. Hey, we have a new video. Hi, Thom Hartmann here. In my new book, The Hidden History of Monopolies, How Big Business Destroyed the American Dream, I'll be taking you from the birth of America as a revolt against monopoly. Remember the Boston Tea Party? To the largely successful efforts of both Presidents Theodore and Franklin Roosevelt and other like-minded leaders to constrain corporations' monopolistic urges, to the massive changes in the rules of business starting during the Reagan Revolution that have brought us into the cancer stage of capitalism. In the foreword by Ralph Nader, he says, "This is the most important dynamic book on the cancers of monopoly by giant corporations written in our generation." End quote. It's the fourth in my Hidden History series, available where all fine books are sold. And don't forget, democracy is not a spectator sport. Democracy starts with you. Tag, you're it. And welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you and John in West Allis, Wisconsin. Hey, John, what's up?
Well, on Friday, I got my absentee ballot. Now, before I sent it in, I decided to check my registration. I have voted for sure in every election since 2004. I've never had a problem with my registration. I have not moved since 2004. My driver's license, which is 10 years old, I just renewed at the same address. My voter registration was not found. In other words, I had no voter registration. It had been purged. Everybody, before they do their voting or send in their ballot, absolutely has to check their registration and make absolutely positive that your registration is valid. I can imagine, sending in an absentee ballot, the clerk getting it, say, the day before or the day of the election, and having to discard it because there's no registration.
Right. Did you contact the Secretary of State's office or your local election officials to find out what happened?
No, I haven't, but I do know that in Wisconsin, the Republicans sponsored a couple 100,000 voter purge for people who supposedly had moved, and they'd supposedly sent out address cards saying, have you moved, or is this the correct address? Right. A lot of them weren't returned. But I don't know for sure what happened in my case.
Yeah, you got caged, is my guess. Well, John, see if you can get your voter status restored there in Wisconsin, and let us know how it works out, will you?
I've already got it done. That's good.
Oh, you did? Did you do it online?
Yeah. You can do it online, and the voter registration site checks with the Wisconsin DMV, and they verify the address. And of course, since I just had my driver's license renewed, the address was the same address. It only took seconds to do it. But the point is, if you don't know about it, you can't do it.
Right. And Republicans are stripping people off the voting rolls left and right all across America right now. So, yeah. Okay. John, thanks for the heads up and thanks for the warning. Great to hear from you. I appreciate it. Chuck in Chicago. Hey, Chuck, what's up?
Hi, Tom. Two real quick points. If this election lines up in the Supreme Court, and since Brett Kavanaugh was knee-deep in Bush versus Gore, could he be recused from hearing anything? And the other quick question I have is, why doesn't our media ask these GOP senators now, if it is clear that Trump lost but he won't accept it, are you going to support him? Our media is lazy. I'll sit back and listen to your answers. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm with you. Thank you, Chuck. And by the way, Brett Kavanaugh, who was knee-deep in Bush v. Gore in Florida in 2000, John Roberts was down there too. That's why George Bush put him on the Supreme Court as the Chief Justice, because he helped craft the arguments in Bush v. Gore that got the Supreme Court to give him the White House. I mean, we were, when the last time the White House got stolen in 2000, we were seriously pissed off. But nobody thought that George W. Bush was going to end the American experiment. He was going to twist it badly, as he did, but we didn't think he was going to end it. Donald Trump is going to end it, and has come right out and said it. It's amazing. John in Evanston, Illinois. Hey, John, what's up?
I know a lot of people are feeling despair. They're thinking that, what can I do? You can make calls into the battleground states. It's very effective. You can make friends with people. You can help arm the electorate. The fellow who wants a succinct explanation of where everything is explained should go to the endorsement of the Scientific American. It's been 175 years. This is their first endorsement. Ask people to read it. It's wonderful. But
I agree. And if you want to sign up to do this kind of stuff, and John, thank you. And if you want to sign up to do something like this, indivisible.com is a great place to start. Angela, New York City. Hey, Angela, what's up?
Hey, Tom, real quick. I just wanted to, because you got those phone calls before from supposed Trump supporters. What I've noticed is the past few days since RBG died on Friday, especially on Twitter, there's been a lot of troll activity, and today it's particularly vicious, and it's what they're doing is it's something what we call reaction formation. In other words, it's psychological warfare. calling Democrats Nazis and calling us the fascists and calling us, the ones that are the aggressors and, Antifa, using the keywords. And what's happening is that I know that I made 2 comments this morning and I have been dogged all day. My phone has been going off to the point where I had to turn it off. That just shows that there's a concerted effort to silence us, and we need to just move off of these platforms and come up with a plan, because he is going to steal this election if we don't do something. They're organized and they're out to defeat us.
And they're well funded, and they're funded by foreign governments as well as billionaires in the United States. I'm with you. Angela, thank you for the call. Thanks so much for being with us today. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. In the meantime, don't forget, democracy is not a spectator sport, especially this time around. And, listen to what Greg said and what our caller from Wisconsin said. Go to iwillvote.com and double check your voter registration. Do it now, because the Republicans are purging people as we speak. We'll see you tomorrow. Tag, you're it.
You've been listening to Thom Hartmann. For audio and video archives, visit thomhartmann.com.
These companies support the Thom Hartmann Program. They are CarShield, America's #1 auto protection company. More information at carshield.com, code TOM. CB Distillery, CBD for sleeping. More info at cbdistillery.com, code TOM. The Clean Phone Pro, phone sanitizer and charger. More info at the...
Hi, Thom Hartmann here. In my new book, The Hidden History of Monopolies, How Big Business Destroyed the American Dream, I'll be taking you from the birth of America as a revolt against monopoly, remember the Boston Tea Party, to the largely successful efforts of both Presidents Theodore and Franklin Roosevelt and other like-minded leaders to constrain corporations' monopolistic urges, to the massive changes in the rules of business starting during the Reagan Revolution that have brought us into the cancer stage of capitalism. In the foreword by Ralph Nader, he says, "This is the most important dynamic book on the cancers of monopoly by giant corporations written in our generation." End quote. It's the 4th in my Hidden History series, available where all fine books are sold. And don't forget, democracy is not a spectator sport. Democracy starts with you. Tag, you're it.